Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Out's here. It's Thursday, and the Raptors won against the Sixers yesterday. And now they've 3-0 against Nick Nurse's team for the season. They'll play them one more time before the end of the season. So the sweep is alive. The Raptors really put out a lot of minutes on undrafted players yesterday. In fact, Karthika of TSN reported that the Raptors had the most points scored by undrafted players in a game since 1951. Isn't that crazy? So 104 points of the Raptors' score last night were by players that were not drafted in the NBA draft. That's amazing. Darko, after the game, giving a lot of credit to our front office for being really good about getting good people for him to play. And that's part of it. He said that Bobby and Masai have done so good bringing good players to me. And it's been, they're awesome, is basically what he said. It's true. I mean, it's weird because you got a range of undrafted players that played for the Raptors last night, all the way up to Garrett Temple being 36 years old and undrafted in this league, still playing in it, which is pretty amazing in itself. But yeah, what a weird game. We had 9 players available. One of them did not play, and that was Chris Boucher. And Darko was asked about that after the game too. Man, that's a weird situation. I do not totally understand it, but whatever. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. We're going to have to trust the Raptors and what they're doing with Chris and not playing him. They should have played him last night, though, because honestly, Darko's been playing a 10-man rotation most of this year, and now all of a sudden he only has 9 guys available. He's playing only an 8-man rotation. That's weird. And not only that, he's really cutting the minutes on certain people in that 8-man rotation, like Jakob Poeltl and Jamal Shed. It was really crazy. Like, all right, I knew Poeltl in some ways was like, all right, he's playing early. Okay, good. He's playing well. And then Shed was the weird one. Like when they pulled Shed and they're like, yeah, we're not going to play Shed for most of the second half either. I was like, man, they really are trying to lose. Really trying to lose. Scotty didn't play. I was wrong. Scotty did take one of his rest games for the end of the year. He still has 2 more. He can miss 2 more games, and that's it. That is it. He cannot miss more than 2 games. And so Scotty didn't play, but Battle did. And it was crazy. I mean, the Raptors were not trying to win totally last night. But the excellence of the undrafted players, the young players to want to make a place for themselves in the NBA overrode any kind of like, okay, we're not trying to win. The other thing I'm going to say about this game is in the title. The Sixers are a dysfunctional franchise. They have been for like over 10 years now. Ever since they started a tanking for process kind of idea thing with Joel Embiid around and losing on purpose to try and get high draft picks, well, it's really made their team really bad in the inside of it, the core of it, because it's those kind of mentalities, they don't go away easy. And, you know, in some ways, the dysfunction of the Sixers this year has something to do with all that. You know, when they got their team together last summer, everybody looked at it on paper and said, this team could win the championship. Then they added Yabusele. And I was like, wow, they're really adding people to their team. And they could really do something with Paul George. Ooh, Paul George. Ooh, ooh. You know, all that stuff. And what a disappointment. The 76ers are the biggest disappointment in the NBA this year. They should have been so much better with the team they had on paper. And now the Raptors are above them in the standings. Amazing. Hilarious. At this point in the end of the year, the Toronto Raptors have a better record than the Philadelphia 76ers. That's amazing. And, well, I got to give credit to Darko also, because Darko has instituted a very good system, a very good culture, and a very good place for young players to play plugged in the absence of our best players. And they excel and do very well in that system because they know it, and it's just a winning system. I mean, heck, they were out there playing against Kelly Oubre and Andre Drummond. And those guys have been in this league for a while. And Kelly Oubre is a good player. In some ways, Kelly Oubre, you should be embarrassed. Look at the team you just lost to from Toronto. Seriously, look at who you just lost to, Kelly Oubre. And understand that your counterpart on the other side was Garrett Temple. Seriously. Seriously, that's really bad, man. Really, really bad. But I love it. I love it. I know some of the people in Stank Nation are upset. The Raptors are below. No, they're not. They're not in the same place they were. Now they're not in the fifth worst spot. They're in the seventh worst spot now. Falling above. I say falling above. No, rising above Brooklyn and Philadelphia in the standings after yesterday. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. What are we doing? Well, we have players that want to play out, and they don't want to make themselves look bad. They want to play to their best ability because this may be their only chance to ever try and make the NBA. So can you blame people like Jared Rhoden, Orlando Robinson, AJ Lawson, Colin Castleton for rising to the occasion and trying to play their best damn basketball when they get the chance? No, you can't blame them. Can you blame your coach for like shorting the staff and trying to make them not be able to win, but they still win? No, you can't blame that. In fact, this is all good. I got a late night text from Logical Raptors fanatics saying, you know what, Lex, this is okay. Don't worry about them winning. These Raptors rookies are adding value to themselves, and this is going to be even better than in some ways in where we get in the position of the draft. So what's not to like, Raptors fans? We have won 5 of our last 6 games, and we are rolling. Now, of course, they're going to go out on a West Coast trip starting in Utah tomorrow night. And there's some interesting news out of Utah that I want to talk about. Lauri Markkanen has too many DMPs, and the NBA has fined the Utah Jazz for sitting him too often. This is the rule about sitting all-stars too many games in a row. And, well, they rested Lauri too many times, and they've had to pay the price now. $100,000 fine. If they do it again, it'll be a $250,000 fine next time. So this is something you got to worry about still at the end of the season with these tanking teams, that if you start sitting people too many games in a row and they're healthy, well, the NBA is going to be fining you. And, well, our next opponent got fined yesterday for this very thing. You know, that's the thing. Scotty's going to play on Friday then. I'm going to tell you that right now. Scotty's going to play on Friday for sure for the reason I just said, and also because he doesn't want to miss any more games because he needs to get 65. So, yeah, it was an interesting game last night. Let's hear what y'all have to say and the reaction to the Raptors win over the Philadelphia 76ers in Toronto last night. That's fantastic. Very, very interesting. Fun to see Kyle back. Kyle was mentoring our players while on the Sixers, which is amazing. Orlando Robinson after the game saying that Kyle Lowry came up to him and talked to him before the game, gave him advice. And I'm like, okay. It's like that at this point. Sixers have given up so much that their captain, one of our favorites, Grote, Kyle Lowry's coming and giving advice to the Raptors on timeouts in the middle of the game. It's so good, man. It's so good. But I love it. Yeah. Good stuff. And I was really, really happy and surprised to hear Vince on the broadcast again last night. I love Vince Carter right now because, man, what an ambush. I love that you were on the show last night. Such a good game for you to call last night too, Vince. And, man, the chemistry between you, Alvin, and Matt is just top notch at this point. Alvin Williams, you have a heel turn, that's for sure. And, man, boy, do you complain with the best of them. I'm going to say that right now. Alvin Williams, you're a cantankerous, grumpy old man, and I love it. I love it. You keep being cantankerous and grumpy. It's funny. Kyle Lowry comes over, and he talks to them after the end of the game, and Alvin says, I don't like these guys anymore. He's working more and more with Vince in the broadcast booth. He said, Vince, I used to like you, but I don't know if I like you anymore. It's so good. It's so good, man. I just love that banter, that back and forth. You know, Vince is the straight man in this. He's trying to be analytical. He's doing a top-notch job. In fact, Alvin gave Vince flowers for his technical breakdown of the dunk contest and his commentary there, the All-Star weekend recently, which is totally true. But then Alvin, man, he's just so funny, man. He is so funny right now. And then, of course, Vince at one point said, when are we going to start talking about Germantown Academy? Huh, Alvin? When are we going to start talking about your high school career again? It's like, Alvin's like, well, this is an NBA game. Why do we have to talk about my high school career? And Vince is like, because you talk about it every time on the air. So good, man. Those guys had me rolling on the floor last night with their back and forth banter, man. Alvin Williams never changed, man. This is exactly the kind of color commentator the Raptors need as far as just fun. And he's bona fide because that man hit clutch shots and helped us win playoff games. And he really is one of the most popular Raptors of all time. In some ways, it's kind of like Vince has needed help with being more likable this year, obviously, because of his history. And Alvin's doing a good job as a good friend of his to get him over. Some of the tricks they're using in the broadcast booth are like heel and face kind of stuff from wrestling. It's like Alvin's being the bad guy so Vince can be the good guy and look good. And I love it, man. I love it so much. You guys are awesome. And I hope that Vince continues for years to come to do spot little Raptor games with us still because he really is giving back to us when he does that. You're giving back your knowledge, you're giving back your time, and you're giving back respect to the Raptors organization. And it's healing everything, Vince. I'm telling you, man. I was proud to wear my Iverson Carter shirt for the game yesterday, and I did not realize you would be calling it. So I was like, oh, Vince is on. This is so cool. I love it, man. I'm so happy about how we're getting to a good place with Vince at this point. And all it took was just a little bit of showing the time and the effort from you, Vince, that you do actually really love your Raptor roots and you care about your legacy with this team in this city. And man, it goes so far with somebody like me. It really does. That you're here, you're giving your time, you're here physically in Toronto, and you are calling the game with your good friend Alvin Williams. That's so good, man. That's so good. All right, let me see what y'all are saying in the chat this morning. We got a lot to talk about. ESPN has a mock draft out after we dropped to the 7th spot, but I like it. Let's just put it that way. I like it. We'll talk about that today. We got the classic card, and oh my gosh, what happened yesterday with the classic card is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That blew me away. I was so freaked out in some ways. We've had really weird, eerie classic cards before. There was the time when I talked about Scotty's going to need a mask because he got his face hurt and he's going to be wearing a mask. And then I pulled the Bill Laimbeer mask card that day. Very, very strange occurrences. Well, yesterday, our classic card was Oliver Miller, former Raptor, inaugural Raptor. And then in the afternoon yesterday, we got word that he had passed away yesterday. That is so creepy and weird to me. I'm telling you right now, all the condolences and feelings for the Miller family and friends and everybody. I was wondering about how he's doing. I said if he was able to come up to Toronto and get you flowers from the fans, not knowing that, he is just about to pass away yesterday at the age of 54. Man, really, really sad. They did a nice silent moment for him, both on the broadcast and in the arena. And it's just so sudden and so creepily weird, considering this was our classic card yesterday in the morning. And he passed away the same day. Yikes. Seymour Pape, you should feel honored. You got the Oliver Miller card on the day of his death. That's sad. Man, he's always going to be a legend to us. And it's too bad that Oliver didn't get to come back and get his flowers in person. And this is like Trevor says all the time with his words of wisdom. We're not promised another day. And this is very, very much an example of this. Man, this is crazy. So crazy. When I heard that news, I was like, this can't be true. Is this real? Did he really pass away today of all days? This is crazy. So weird. Well, either way, condolences to Oliver Miller's family and friends. And also, we're feeling it in Raptors Nation because he is an important person from our Raptors history, 150 games with the Raptors in 2 different stints. So it wasn't just like a part-time guy who just showed up. He was a guy who contributed, and he was a pleasant surprise considering that he had a toxic contract when he came to us in our first year. So, yeah, it's crazy. As Trevor's saying, don't be afraid to start over again. This time you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. I like that. I like that. There's nothing is wasted. Nothing is a waste of time. It's either a lesson or a blessing, is what they say. And those lessons can be much more valuable than the blessing in a lot of cases, too. I appreciate Trevor J for his words of wisdom. Man, wow, Trevor. What a guiding light you are with your words of wisdom. And man, this is crazy. It really does make you value life. when you hear about the passing of a 54-year-old man named Oliver Miller. Very, very sad. I want to propose this in honor of Oliver Miller because I don't feel like it hits right anyway. And honestly, it's not really either one of these guys' nickname. It's Oscar Robertson's. I want to retire the nickname Big O. And when Matt Devlin used that later on the broadcast after we knew that Oliver had passed for Orlando Robinson, it just didn't feel right. In some ways, look, the nickname Big O was Oscar Robertson. That is who the Big O is. He always has been. He may not have been the biggest O, but he is the biggest O in the NBA's history. Now, Oliver Miller was called the Big O while he was playing also. And in some ways, I want to retire that nickname. I don't feel like Orlando Robinson should be called Big O. I just don't. We can call him O-Rob or something else. But Big O, let's retire that, Matt Devlin. And in some ways, it's out of respect to the recently departed Oliver Miller, but also to the greatness of a top 20 player in the history of the NBA, Oscar Robertson. I'm just saying that nickname shouldn't be for multiple different players. It really is Oscars, and I would say Oliver's in our Raptors world. And Orlando needs a different nickname. I'm sorry. Call him O-Rob. Call him whatever you want in different places, but I don't think you should call him Big O because it just struck me weird later on in the game when we're celebrating the life of Oliver Miller, and then you're calling Orlando Robinson the Big O. It's just not right to me for some reason. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. Maybe you understand this, Matt. Maybe you do. We'll see if you call that guy Big O anymore. But I'm just saying, you do whatever you want. Obviously, you're a badass, Matt Devlin. I love you, man. I love you, man. Yeah, Trevor's saying Orlando Robinson's the second player in Raptors history to get 20 plus points and 10 plus rebounds and 5 plus assists off the bench since DeLon Wright. Wow. I mean, these undrafted guys are breaking all kinds of records and all kinds of stuff. We break the record for rebounds since 1992. We do all kinds of crazy stuff recently. It's fantastic. I love it. Orlando Robinson getting the chain last night. Fantastic to see. Getting the after game interview also. Not totally comfortable with it, but he did great. And he's just a matter of fact guy. You know, he's got the goods to stick around. The progress that we've seen in Robinson since he showed up on the Raptors this season has been fantastic. He's been getting better and better with his positioning. He's been getting more and more physical. He's been getting better and better at finishing around the basket. And he's been fighting harder and harder, physicality-wise, against the opposition. And honestly, what he has is what Jakob has, and we need more of that on our team anyway. I think it's very true that Orlando Robinson may have a long-term future with the Raptors going into next year and maybe beyond. We just keep working, man. You're doing this, you're earning it, and this reward, and it's so awesome to see somebody let you pay off. You know, in some ways, it's because Robinson is at a point in his career a couple of years in where this is kind of around when he's starting to figure it out. He's supposed to figure it out and get to the point, well, if you're going to be a pro, you're going to have to do it now, my guy, because you know, if you can't do it now, well, the opportunities aren't going to come much after this. Well, he's taken that ticket and running with it. And I think that he's done a fantastic job of getting better and better with our unit, our particular team, our coach, and our system to be a very promising player to keep around for years to come. So keep going, Orlando. You're awesome. I just say, you know, keep on working down low with your physicality. If you use your muscles and you use your size every single game, I will fight for you to stay on this team forever. Seriously, because we need more guys like you. Big, strong, bulky guys that can fight physically down in the paint. And, man, Jakob was the only guy for a while. Scotty does it too. But in some ways, it's like we need Orlando for depth at center. And he's fitting in real nice to the culture. In some ways, he's not going to be too expensive. So he's a good quality player for us to have on our roster. Seriously, I'm really liking it. Trevor J saying that SGA dropped 34 points with the win over the Celtics. Shea passed Kevin Durant to become the fastest player in Thunder/Supersonics history to reach 10,000 points. Fantastic. That was the marquee matchup. It seems like wherever the Thunder are going right now is the marquee matchup in the NBA, whether it's they're playing Cleveland, Denver, Celtics. Celtics in Boston last night, and SGA put on a show. I saw some of the highlights of what he was doing in that game. He is amazing. The acrobatics, the athleticism, the nose for the basket and putting it in in just the in most inconceivable ways. That's SGA, baby. And he plays for Canada. And you know what, man? I'm so proud of him. I love that Vince said this last night in the broadcast. SGA is going to win the MVP this year. No ifs, ands, or buts. Vince Carter really believes that SGA will win the MVP this year. And I believe so too. It was interesting that they brought up Donovan Mitchell, though, in the Cavs and saying, well, why isn't Donovan getting considered for MVP? He's on the best team with the record. And, well, you know why? Because they have 4 players that are all kind of around the all-star level, and they kind of nix each other for a singular consideration. Let's just put it that way. In some ways, Jokic and SGA, they are head and shoulders above their roster. Jamal Murray, the closest thing to Jokic, but in some ways, it's not the same level. SGA is the same thing on the Thunder. There's guys that are on that team that are very good, like Jalen Williams and Lou Dort, but they're not on the same level as SGA. So you can easily say that's the dude, that's the man, that's the franchise player. And well, with Donovan, it's ambiguous. You could really say that because of Darius and then Evan and Jarrett, it's tough to kind of distinguish him for how much of a huge impact he contributes for the Cavs. I don't get me wrong. He's their best offensive player. In some ways, he's absolutely key for their success. But why wouldn't Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen's defense be just as key to their success also? So that's my counterpoint to Alvin Williams questioning why isn't Donovan Mitchell considered more for MVP? That's really what it is right there. They have a glut of all-stars, and they all kind of mashed each other out. So Trevor J saying that Mikal Bridges has asked Tom Thibodeau to cut the minutes for the starters on the Knicks. This is hilarious to me. When I saw this article, I was like, is this like a parody article? Like so many out there these days, bullshit articles that are just put out for fun, parody articles. No, this is a real article. The Mikal Bridges, the Iron Man of the NBA, a guy that's been celebrated for not missing games pretty much his whole career and playing huge amounts of minutes, is tapping out. Is telling his coach Thibodeau, y'all, man, can you turn down our minutes a little bit? It's like, please, this is hilarious. I don't know. If Mikal can't get through to him and tell him to stop playing them so much, nobody can, is what I'm going to say. Because seriously, he's a nice guy. He's played so much in the NBA. If anybody deserves a break, it's Mikal Bridges. But Tom Thibodeau, he ain't like that. He's like, okay, Mikal, get out there and start running again. He's like, he don't care. He's going to run them to the ground before the playoffs even start. Don't worry, though. They've got replacement players. And PJ Tucker and Patrick Beverly. They're going to be fine. They're going to be real good. Yeah. Nako's here. Good to see Gerald, my good friend, holding it down in the 905. That's right. What's going on, Nako the Nacho? Shed has to be ahead of schedule. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I think that's actually what Darko said after the game. They asked Darko in the post-game interview after the game last night, how do you feel about the progress of your rookie class this year and where they are now? And Darko said, I'm amazed. I've never seen this kind of development and growth so fast with young players like this, is basically what he said. And that's from his whole vast history of coaching, from Serbia and kids to Spanish League to the G League to, the things that he's done with the Thunder and the Suns and the Grizzlies. You've never seen players that progress this quickly, is what he said last night in the post-game interview, that this is special. And it's really impressive to him. Yeah, there's a lot of things he's been saying lately about our team right now, and they're unique. And he's never, ever had a team like this ever in his life. And he was really enjoying it. You can tell that Darko's really getting an immense professional satisfaction from what's going on with the Raptors right now. Then, we may be like totally not that high in the standings, but he's seeing the growth and the get better day by day on such a level that he is just laughing. Because honestly, in some ways, we are getting the proof that Darko's a good coach from what we're doing right now. Some people say, no, but we're winning. We're not supposed to. Well, you loser. That's not what we're supposed to do anyways, trying to lose. No. And Darko's system and culture is so good that it can't help but win even when we're trying to lose. That's the craziest thing about it. We could put out players that are totally G League. We could go get the Charlie Brown and Lacey James and Loudon Love and bring them into the Scotiabank Arena and let them play Darko's system, and they'd probably still figure out a way to beat the Sixers team that we played last night. Yeah, I'm serious. It's crazy. It's a culture, and the culture is awesome right now. I love it. I love it so much. Reggie's here. Good to see Reggie. Sixers couldn't beat the Raptors 905. Philly was playing ISO the whole game. Yeah, I don't know what the method of the madness is with Nick Nurse and what the Sixers trying to do. Of course, obviously they want to try and protect their pick. Now, everybody said we don't want to let the Sixers keep their pick, so they got to stay out of the top 6 because they're protected top 6. But think about this, y'all. Forget about worrying about the Sixers getting their pick. Worry about the Thunder getting their pick. How about that? Have you thought about that instead? The Thunder are the second best team in the league right now. And we just talked about SGA. We just talked about how badass they are. Can we afford the whole entire league to let them get a top 10 pick this year? That's not going to help anybody in the league. In some ways, the Sixers are so bad, I'm not worried about them. They'll fumble the pick anyway. You think about this. In some ways, we can't let our blind rage and hate for the Sixers get in the way of some logic here also that maybe the Sixers keeping their pick and keeping their player is better than the Thunder adding a top 10 player to their team. Think about that. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, man, which one would I rather? The Sixers get the pick so they could fumble it and look like idiots, or the Thunder getting the pick and getting another top 10 kind of player on their team with their team already being stacked? We can't let our blind anti-Sixers views just cloud our judgment in that way. Seriously, think about what I'm saying here. Thinking about what I'm saying here, that's right. Nako's saying Philly doesn't deserve their pick. Philly had the second most disappointing season this year. Mavs hand down beat them the most disappointing. No, I'll disagree with this. The most disappointing team to me is the Sixers. You had Joel Embiid, former MVP, bullshit. Paul George added to this team as supposedly the biggest free agency signing. You got Tyrese Maxey. You got this team that was stacked and should have been so good this year, and they're absolutely horrible. That is the biggest disappointment. I'm going to say this right now. The Mavs, the only disappointment about them was that their ownership traded Luka, and that's messed up. Their record is still fairly good, and they may even still make the play-in. But the other team in the league that's the biggest disappointment is the Suns. The two biggest disappointments this year are the Suns and the Sixers in the two different conferences. The Suns should have been way, way better with all the money Matasheba has been spending. But yeah, these probably are the top 3 or top 5 in there. I think New Orleans should be on that list, the most disappointing team too. New Orleans is the top 5 most disappointing team. But yeah, Dallas, I guess you could put them on that list too. But it's really because of that trade. I'm telling you, man. If I had to rank them, I'd say Philly's the most disappointing team in the whole entire league. Phoenix is second. And then maybe I put Dallas third. But it's really because of the Luka trade. That was so disappointing just in itself. Not necessarily how the team has played. It's more about the Luka trade that's disappointing. Smooth saying Raptors pretty much locked in the 7th, not likely to be top 5. And I don't care about this. In fact, all right, let's go look at the mock draft because their ESPN has a brand new mock draft that came out just yesterday or this morning after we flipped out of the top 5. They're real ready to go ahead and show what's going to happen now. They've got Washington taking Cooper Flagg, number 1. Utah will take Dylan Harper from Rutgers as number 2. The 3rd pick, Ace Bailey, would go to Charlotte Hornets in this mock draft. The 4th pick, VJ Edgecombe, would go to the New Orleans Pelicans. The 5th pick, now with the Sixers, they're so quick to put this in there. They think that they'll take Trey Johnson, shooting guard out of Texas. And the Nets will take Kasparis Yaskiatis of Illinois, point guard. And then they got us at 7th. And guess who's the name on the ESPN mock draft this morning is Common Malak. That's right. So this is what I want. This is exactly what I want. Stay right here at 7th and pick Malak. Now, if one of these other teams ahead of us, the Nets or the Sixers, decide they want to go get Malak instead, that'd be bastards. They'd be bastards for that. But this is what Gavini is saying, Jonathan Gavini. Malak is playing an important role for the number 1 ranked Blue Devils, anchoring the team's top 6 defense, inhaling rebounds on both ends, and providing vertical spacing as a roller and cutter while sprinting the floor aggressively in transition. Some of his offensive limitations have appeared more glaringly in ACC competition, and he still has questions to answer regarding his skill level and defensive versatility. How he fares in Duke's biggest games will shed important insight into his NBA readiness and will likely play a role in determining where he will eventually get selected in June. The fit and intel about him for the Raptors have been feistier than expected, winning 5 of their last 6 games, distancing themselves from the pack of flag contenders and inching closer to the play-in tournament territory in the Eastern Conference. Unless it is fortunate enough to move into the top 4 on lottery night, Toronto will be picking from the next tier of prospects, which includes Malak, who could be earmarked as a big man to build around long term. Now, I don't hate any of this. I know some people really want to get in the flag sweepstakes, but I don't. Hey, look who's number 8. They're saying that Con Newpel is the 8th pick for the Spurs. I didn't realize he was right after Malak. He did not impress me when we looked at him the other day. Number 9, Portland taking Igor Demon. And then the top 10 is rounded out with the Chicago Bulls taking Maryland's Derek Queen, center. So Queen is the second draft prospect that's center on the ESPN mock draft this morning. So, yeah, can we go Malak or worst Queen at some point in the top 10? I would be okay with the center. That's what I want to see right there. That's right. That's right. Smooth saying that the Raptors guys are playing for their next contract. Most of them won't want to be on an NBA team next year. Yeah. And a lot of these guys will be from what they're doing right now. Seriously. I mean, Orlando Robinson's looking like a full NBA player right now. At least to me, he is. Jared Rhoden and AJ Lawson, if they're more consistent and continue to do what they're doing, they should be in the NBA next year. I think Rhoden has a better chance. I feel like AJ's a little too up and down. He's really too much feast or famine. It's like everything or nothing. And AJ may have a harder time than Jared because Jared is more steady with his defense and other things. And in some ways, it's not totally dependent on Jared Rhoden to score to be useful for a team. AJ Lawson's got a fantastic defense also, though. I don't want to discount it. But I'm just saying, in some ways, the more steady play of Jared Rhoden may be more likely to stick around in the league. Not that both of them could make it, though. Both of them can make it. Neil's here. Good to see Blackhawk. Adam can do better. Under 10 wins, lose 2 lottery balls. Under 20, lose 1. What are you saying? Adam Silver? Is that who you're talking about? Adam can do better. Under 10 wins, lose 2 lottery balls. Under 20, lose 1. Interesting. So that's your new anti-tank strategy, is to tell Adam Silver to employ a thing where you get penalized if you don't have enough wins on your overall win record at the end of the year. If you're under 10 wins, you lose 2 lottery balls no matter what. And if you're under 20, you lose 1. You know, that's kind of counterintuitive to the lottery ball system because that's what they say. It's like if you're going to be at the bottom, you got to get the most. I don't know. This is an interesting idea. I don't know if it's exactly right, but I like the idea of it in some ways. I really do, Neil. I do. It's weird. That's a weird idea. Weird idea. Penalized by how many, like you still got to hit benchmarks is what he's saying. You got to get, if you don't get to 10, wow, you could, you know what did they say? 5 lottery balls if you can't get to 10 wins for the year. That's crazy. I mean, you should be able to get to 10, at least 10 out of 82. Come on. Everybody did so far this year. So maybe if you don't get to 20, you lose like 3 lottery balls. You lose 10 if you don't get to 10 wins. If you don't get to 20 wins, you lose 3 lottery balls. I mean, it could be more harsher is what I'm saying here, Blackhawk. Maybe. Nako's saying boring game, if you ask me. Cool to see Kyle and Vince chat it up. Well, this is what I was calling it. Monique was saying it was like a G League game, but I went one step further. And I said, well, since he's in the house, and we did kind of talk about this on the stream yesterday, it was more like a Rico Hines run. You know, he had that right mix of veterans with very young prospects, Garrett Temple, Jakob Pertl, Kelly Oubre Jr., Andre Drummond. But then you got Ricky Council out there doing a mini Dr. J impersonation. You got Aiden Bono out there hitting people with elbows. I thought that Alvin was funny talking about Bono. He's so funny. He's like calling him a hack artist, all this kind of stuff. And Vince was cracking on him for that. That was great. But yeah, it felt like a Rico runs. Seriously, from like a couple years ago. You had Jeff Doughton out there even. running around, scorching us, talking trash to Scotty Barnes in the middle of the game. That was so funny. I mean, I'm wondering if Jeff was like saying, "You didn't want me on this team, Scotty, and I'm gonna kill your team. I'm gonna bomb on them." I feel like that Jeff Doughton was pointing at Scotty every time he made shots last night. It was very weird. But after the game, when they were leaving the court, you could see them talking to each other in the passageway, and they dapped each other. So they're cool. But yeah, that was interesting that Jeff Doughton was talking trash to our bench, and specifically Scotty Barnes. Very, very interesting. But I felt like this game had a Rico Hines feel to it, like a Rico runs. There was a little bit of like unprofessionalism, but it was very high tempo, get up and down the court like you would at UCLA for Rico in the summer. And the mix of the players and some of the players that I saw on the court last night very much made me think of a Rico run from like last year or year before when the Raptors were there a lot, with Coloco and everybody down there. So I felt like it was a Rico runs kind of game. You thought that game was boring, though? There was a lot of heavy minutes on people like Colin Castleton. It's crazy. Let's do the stars of the game. Why not? Let's do it right now. I guess I should have done it already. My number one star of the game is Jared Rhoden. I felt like Jared Rhoden got overshadowed by AJ Lawson in his first start, but in this one, he came back and he was very solid with a double-double. 25 points and 12 rebounds for Jared, 9 of 19 from the field, 4 of 10 from 3, 3 of 4 at the free throw line, 4 offensive rebounds. The offensive rebounding by the Raptors has been top-notch, and Darko did say in an interview recently that he has re-emphasized the Raptors to go get offensive rebounds, and well, they've responded. 5 assists, 4 steals also for Jared Rhoden, which he said after the game was his stat that he's most proud of, is that he doesn't care about the points. He was very happy that he got 4 steals last night because in some ways that is what he realizes is going to keep him at the NBA level, is that he needs to show his defensive prowess and that he really wants to be a defensive stopper and a defender kind of guy. The offense stuff is gravy on top. So to Jared Rhoden, it's the 4 steals that he loved the most in the game last night that he got. 3 turnovers also for him, a plus 14, 25 points in 43 minutes. This man only sat for 5 minutes. In some ways, that's fun for him because you get to play pretty much the whole entire game, Jared Rhoden. So there you go. Good job. You're my number one star of the game. The second star is the guy who got the chain, Orlando Robinson. He also shot 9 of 19, exactly. 25 points for Orlando with a double-double with 12 rebounds, including 5 offensive rebounds, 2 for 3 from three-pointer. In fact, Orlando got very confident with the three-point shot at some point, and they look good. So maybe he should be shooting threes because they looked pretty good last night. 5 of 6 at the free throw line, 5 offensive rebounds, 12 altogether, 6 assists, 1 turnover, a plus 2. Yeah, good job, Orlando Robinson. I've already given you some shine and kudos in this stream, and I want to double down on him. Man, keep being you and keep doing it the right way because you have tunnel vision on your goals, and right now you're going towards them. No distractions, and you're going to get that done. Seriously, I'm really proud of Orlando. Really, really proud of him, and I want him to be a Raptor for a while now. AJ Lawson is my third star. He had the most points for the Raptors yesterday, 36 minutes with 28 points, 10 of 20 from the field, so he shot 50%. That's great because AJ can shoot under 30% sometimes, and it's not good. 4 for 9 from 3. He's been real money with this three-point shot this week. In fact, AJ Lawson broke a record in Raptors history. He has the most points off the bench over a 2-game period with 60 points in the last 2 games. That's the most any player's ever scored in 2 games off the bench for the Raptors, just so y'all know, 60 points in 2 games. He was 4 for 6 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, a plus 1, 28 points. Good job, AJ Lawson. You keep balling out. You keep being enthusiastic. You keep getting up and down the court. You're so fast, man. In fact, in some ways, you're too fast because you're there somewhere where somebody wants to pass it to, but you're already gone to another spot on the court when somebody tries to pass it to you. Yeah, the turnovers were a problem last night. The Raptors were turning the ball over more than often than normal, but that's partly because of the youth of the team and the team that we had out there yesterday. They're going to be a little bit more turnovers when it's that team, and that's just how it is. My next star of the game, the fourth star of the game, is Colin Castleton. Colin had a very productive game. Darko noted him after the game. They didn't talk. He said at one point, Darko, in the postgame, he said, oh, and I want to say one thing real quick. I want to give credit to Colin Castleton. So they didn't ask him about Colin Castleton. Darko brought up Colin in the interview and wanted to give him some shine for what he did in the game last night. Of course, Colin did not score double digits, but he got double digits in rebounds. 7 points for Colin, 14 rebounds, 4 offensive, 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 1 at the free throw line, 2 assists, 3 blocks. So Colin was a rim protector and protecting the rim, doing a good job. 2 turnovers, a plus 14. Yeah, I like the plus 14. And he started at power forward with Jakob at center. And that was an interesting look. Darko's saying that he wanted to explore more of Colin Castleton playing the 4, and that's why he played a lot. Also, Colin played 40 minutes of this game, so he played most of the game also. A lot of minutes for these young guys getting out there and really getting a lot of workout from it, for sure. My last star of the game is Garrett Temple. Garrett Temple came in off the bench, and he had a very fun game. Very good leadership. He hit some shots. 8 points for Garrett, 3 of 7 shooting, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 3-point line. Really love seeing Garrett get those open threes and nail them. And I love hearing Vince talk about G Temp and bringing him up as a former teammate of his and somebody that he just really respects as a long time NBA old head vet. And yeah, it was cool to hear Vince and Alvin talk about Garrett Temple in the game. 2 rebounds for Garrett, 8 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, a +9 with 8 points in 22 minutes. Not really for the stats, for making a couple threes and being a leader out there and running up and down the court and just being Garrett Temple. So, yeah, also a fun fact, guys. I did not mention this on the show yet, but Garrett Temple's 3rd child, his new daughter, was actually born in Toronto at Mount Sinai downtown. So she is Canadian, just so y'all know. That's a tradition with a lot of the Raptors players, is if their children are born here in Canada, they're Canadians. And, well, DeMar and Fred have Canadian children, just so y'all know. Excuse me. All right, there's my stars of the game. I have some honorable mentions too. I guess I could give an honorable mention to who was the other guy I wanted to give honorable mention to? Pirtle. I'll give an honorable mention to Pirtle. Pirtle came in for 17 minutes last night. He set a tone early and didn't have to play much late. 4 for 6 from the field, hit his only free throw, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 4 turnovers, a +8 with 9 points. Jamison Battle had a tough shooting night, but he managed to get 11 points, 4 of 15, 3 of 12 at the free 3-point line, 8 rebounds also for Jamison, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. Jamison, when he wasn't hitting his 3 last night, was going and finding offense near the basket. I also like that Jamison's crashing the boards and getting really active on getting rebounds. And he's really like good with the little run in and floater kind of shots coming at the basket from like 10 feet in. So I'm really happy with that kind of stuff with him. Jamal Shed was on a minutes restriction for some reason. 12 minutes for Jamal. That's it in the whole entire game. In some ways, I figured Jamal was going to be the leading scorer and the big time star of this game. But Darko and them, it's like Bobby told him, is like, look, Darko, you guys are doing too good. You have to bench Jamal now too. What? We have to bench Jamal? Yeah, at halftime, I have to tell you this because you guys are doing too good. You have to bench Jamal now and Jakob. They can't play in the second half. I have no players, Bobby. What am I supposed to do? Play who you have. Play who you have. Okay, I guess. So, yeah, Jamal Shed, only 12 minutes. It's 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 5 assists, 1 turnover, a +17, though, the highest plus-minus on the team with only 5 points. Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing. Yeah, so there's basically the whole team that played. There were only 8 guys that played. And I'm still wondering about Chris Boucher. It's crazy. They asked Darko about Chris after the game, and he said basically Chris is a professional. He knows he just needs to stay ready, and I'll call his name when it's time. So weird. It's like he also used the excuse, I'm trying to give more minutes to young players so they have more time to play. Well, why the hell is Garrett Temple out there then, is what I'm saying to you, Darko. In some ways, your logic of your reasoning for why you're not playing Chris Boucher don't make no sense if you're going to play Garrett Temple, is what I'm going to say right now. Seriously, this don't make no sense to me. In some ways, I'm starting to get annoyed with this because the logic of this is not apparently in what they're doing because they just need players to play. You know, they're going to play Kelly Oubre on the other side. Why aren't you playing Chris Boucher on our side is what I'm kind of saying right now. I don't know. I don't want to stir anything up too much because this could become more of a controversy if this continues. But Darko, you need to play Chris again at some point. I don't think he's happy with this. In fact, let's go look at the Instagram stories real quick because there is something here from Chris about this. Matt Devlin showing off the movie screening of We the North, where Kyle Lowry is there with Semelu and other dignitaries, and even Masai was there too at the We the North movie screening that Kyle popped up at. Really, really awesome. Love to see those pictures. And Kyle giving back. He loves Toronto. He was wearing that Canadian tuxedo last night. And Matt Devlin and Alvin were making fun of him, talking about the denim on denim that Kyle was wearing. And Alvin kept saying, man, that's horrible what you're wearing, bro. Busting on Kyle's chops, man. I thought Kyle looked good. And of course, Vince pointing out that Kyle's wearing his company's hat, the one that makes the custom golf bags. That he's given Vince one that was so amazing. Such a beautiful golf bag that he gave to Vince Carter. Yeah, Kyle Lowry's awesome, man. We love Kyle. And it was interesting to see him sitting on the bench with Tyrese Maxey and Rico Hines, joking around and talking. So valuable to Tyrese Maxey to learn from Kyle Lowry, trust me. And then Rico, it's fun to see Rico there. Also, I want to give some props to Nick Nurse real quick. You know, I've been so mean to Nick at times since things went so south with him as our coach. But also at the same time, he was classy last night. I think that Nick was the most classy I've seen since he's not been the Raptors coach. He First of all, he got a nice ovation before the game when they announced him as the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. The Raptor crowd actually stood up and cheered for him, and he waved to the crowd. And you know, you could tell that meant a lot to him. You know, it's been a disappointing year and he's in a weird place. And like I said, he's a little bit humbled by the experience with the Sixers. And he said in an interview before the game, it's been very, very frustrating this season because I've not been able to have most of my team healthy at any point. And this has been just a disaster this whole entire year. Well, also at the end of the game, Nick went over, and usually he just leaves the court and he's pissed off and he doesn't say anything to anybody. He actually went over to Darko and shook his hand and hugged him. And that was nice to see, that good sportsmanship. I know in some ways maybe Nick and the Sixers got what they wanted last night, and that was an L. But still, that seeing that happen there was nice for me because it showed that Nick's not so bitter and weird, that he can be cool with Darko. And I'm sure there's a lot of mutual respect between the two of them. In fact, it could be that Nick has seen the job Darko's doing with Toronto, and he's actually very impressed. I'll bet you he is. I'll bet you he is impressed with what Darko's doing. So, Jared Roden on the screen after the game, get the interview, or actually, this was at halftime. He got the interview with Savannah Hamilton, and that's big time. You know, this kind of stuff for Orlando, AJ, and Jared, getting interviews after games, being the ones who go in the post-game interview and sit behind the podium and answer the media's questions. This is big time to them because they don't get this. They get this on the scale of the 905 with like maybe Savannah and Lindsay in the back, and that's it. They get two people asking them questions. But when they come into the Raptors and they get the post-media game interviews, that is special. That is special. So seeing Jared Roden in the halftime interview with Savannah Hamilton, it's a big deal. And his family and friends were very, very proud of him to see him getting that kind of shine. In fact, a friend of Jared Roden's is Dame Lillard. In fact, he reposted last night Jared Roden's career high of 25 points with 12 rebounds and 4 assists or 4 steals. So Dame Lillard is a big fan of Jared Roden because he put him on blast for his achievement on the Raptors last night. That's very interesting to me. Let's see. AJ Lawson has the graphic up of the undrafteds, and all undrafted players. Extremely impressive win with only 8 players active. Well, they had 9 players, but they didn't play one of them. Anyway, but yeah, the undrafted players of the Raptors, very impressive last night, doing impressive things, breaking records for undrafted players collectively. And I mean, this a whole group. Like, seriously, it's AJ, Jared, Orlando, Jameson, Garrett, and Colin. Those 6 guys, none of them were drafted in the NBA. The only 2 guys that played for us last night that were drafted were Jakob Pertl and Jamal Shed. Those 2 guys were, and Jamal was the second rounder. Those are the only 2 dudes that played for the Raptors last night that actually were in the draft. Isn't that crazy? That's wild to think about in some ways. Seriously, Eugenio Maroy was at Kalani Jewelers. getting some jewelry. But then also he's celebrating the AJ Lawson thing I just said. AJ Lawson set the Raptors record for the most points off the bench over a 2-game span with 60 points. So AJ's celebrating, getting celebrated by Eugene Omoruyi. Eugene posting that. That's fantastic. SGA with his butter shoes on. And actually, that's not SGA. That's Nickel in Indiana wearing the butter shoes. Minnesota. Sorry, Minnesota. Norman Powell celebrating James Harden on his Instagram because James had some sort of achievement recently. Toronto Tempo gear, Toronto Tempo stuff, Toronto's Tempo swag. There you go. That's all I have to say on that. Wubs, Jacoby Walter celebrating Jared Rhoden's career high in points yesterday. No hate, no hating. They love the teammates' achievements for each other. That's important. Yuta Watanabe. Okay, there you go. I see Yuta saying he stays ready so he doesn't have to get ready. He's talking about his teammate in Japan that was ready to play. And that's what I'm saying right there. All right, let's see. Who else do we got here? Eric Smith remembering Oliver Miller on his Instagram. And they've got John Lucas III on Smith & Jones coming up this week. So check that out. Let's see what else we got. The Raptors rollerblading on the court. That's not right. Ulrich Shamshay has a very interesting story. This is the second time this week that Shamshay's putting Common Malak on blast. He's got him on blast on his stories again yesterday, guys. So I'm telling you, man, I'm just seeing something. And also, Shamshay has this funny thing saying, "Don't you ever leave us like that again." And it's a gun pointed at the sun. That's so weird, Shamshay. What's that about? Kelly Olynyk with his fit coming in the game, blue jeans and a shirt and his hat backwards. Yeah, it's not really a fit. It's just everyday guy clothes. There you go. He's celebrating Gonzaga getting their ticket punch to the March Madness. So there you go, Kelly. Love that. Let's see. And yeah, he's just proud of Gonzaga right now. That's what's going on. Bruno Fernando's brothers having a baby. So he's celebrating, congratulating his brother for him and his wife for the good news, the very good news. There's Slim Duck. Slim Duck is saying, "Do you not care about what other people think?" And he's got a picture of Adam Sandler at the Academy Awards in his blue hoodie. Yeah, so Chris does not care what other people think. Let's see. He's showing highlights of himself shooting threes while he was still playing for the Raptors, right? Like regularly. It's so crazy. I wish they would put Chris back in. I'm starting to get on the free Chris Boucher train, guys, because it don't make no sense to me right now. It really, really doesn't. I don't understand it. I wish y'all just be open about this. If they were open about it, we'd probably hate the Raptors for what they're doing to Chris, honestly. Probably really does have something to do with contract and possibilities for what's happening this summer. So I don't like it. I mean, he's playing songs. He's in his feelings in some ways. You can tell Chris is. He's got Natasha Bedingfield playing on one of them. I got a pocket full of sunshine is the song he's playing. And so he's just saying, "I'm happy, even if I'm not playing, y'all," is kind of what his message is right now. And I don't care what other people think. I don't care what y'all are going to wonder about with what's going on. I know what's going on. Everything's fine. But in some ways, we're wondering if you're upset because you're not getting to play, Chris. That's what we're wondering as Raptors fans. We care about you, and we want you to be happy in a lot of ways. That's right. There you go. Yeah, fantastic stuff from the Raptors. Raptors 905 went to the launch pad yesterday. We see Charlie Brown Jr. and Tyler Perry and Quincy Guerriere and Tariq Key and Loudon Love and all them going to the MLSC launch pad with Stripes, the mascot, and they were playing with the kids, doing drills. Coach Tyler Perry was yelling at them to do the one hop, 1 foot, one hop. And also they told all the kids at the end of the event at MLSC Launchpad that they're all getting free tickets to the last home game of the Raptors 905 coming up soon. So yeah, good stuff with the 905 down at MLSC Launchpad, giving back to the community and coaching the kids. Charlie Brown Jr. enthusiastically running around all over the place. Charlie Brown, you're awesome, man. And keep having fun, man. Charlie Brown, you really is starting to become one of my favorite 905 right now. It's crazy because I really did not like him at the beginning of the year. And there's one clip where this kid's asking them for like they're decorating cookies, and he wants the purple frosting, and it's right next to Stripes. The Stripes isn't hearing him. He's like, "Hey, give me the purple frosting," and nobody's listening to him. Hand that kid the purple frosting for his cookie that he's trying to make. Come on now. Somebody hear that. Courtney Charles, you're standing back there in the back. Why don't you help that kid get that purple frosting so he can put it on his Raptor cookie? Because he wants the purple for the Raptors purple. Let him put the purple on there. Andrew Jones with nice words for the kids also, talking about the inspiring words and coaching words for them kids and that right way. That's right. Jamal Shed gave a signed jersey to a friend, and they're opening it up on his Instagram. And then also Siakam putting on blast Tyrese Halliburton for his big play against the Milwaukee Bucks the other day. Fantastic stuff. There's your Instagram stories. Yeah. 9:05 at the MLSE launch pad. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Trevor J's bringing up Oliver Miller's passing. It's so spooky and eerie. Like I said, this was our classic card yesterday. Way before we heard about him passing was Oliver Miller. He was literally the classic card on the day he died. I don't know, man. I told y'all I have foresight. Like, I can see the future, and part of the reason why I'm good at predicting Raptors games and what's going on is partly that. But this creeps me out. This totally creeps me out. That I'm kind of scared to do the classic card today. Like, I don't want anybody else to die, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Smooth saying, rest in peace, Oliver Miller. Wild that we were talking about him yesterday. I know, that's so strange. I pulled the card out before, and I was like, nah, let's not do this card. I was like, let's do this one. And I pulled him out second. And that's so weird. It is so weird that he was the classic card yesterday and then he passed away that same day. It's so crazy. I'm so sad about it too. In some ways, I really wish he had gotten up here to get his flowers from us. I really, really do. James is saying, I think SGA might win MVP over Jokic. I think he will too. Let's go Canada. That's right. I think he's got the good steam. The record's good. He should have maybe won it last year. So yeah, he's due. He's going to get it. I mean, the other thing is, I keep saying this, Jokic can't continue to stack these MVPs because in some ways it's going to make him look weird in the whole history of the NBA. I mean, he may deserve them, rightfully so, but there's certain players that get MVPs on a certain level. Like, you got to understand, they're spread out more in other years. And him getting to 4 MVPs may put him on a level that may be justified, but also doesn't look totally right in the scheme of the history of the NBA. Because if you look at the MVP totals for some of the greatest players that ever played in the NBA, you'd be shocked to see how few they have compared to Nikola Jokic right now. And that's where it will look a little weird in the long term, is what I'm saying. Reggie's saying, do the Sixers actually deserve to keep their pick, though? There's no coaching going on there. Yeah, I saw Nick coaching a little bit. He was yelling at them at one point. He got really mad at Jeff Doughton right near the end of the game. Trying to get him to do something, and he didn't do it. And Jeff looked very confused, and Nick was really yelling at him. I know. I get what you're saying, but in some ways, it's like, can we afford the Thunder to get any better? Also, that's part of it too. Let's see. James is saying the Sixers are going to get better if they get a top 5 pick. They had a bad year, but they are definitely a top 4 team in the East next year. I don't believe that. There's no reason to believe that because honestly, it all hinges on Joel, and Joel. It hinges on his knee hinge. And I'm telling you, man, that man may be shot for the rest of his career. He may never play the correct way ever again, guys. Seriously, this happens. Like, if you have a knee surgery once, it can mess you up for the rest of your career. If you have to have multiple knee surgeries because the knee just isn't getting better, well, I'm telling you, he could be washed already. And without Joel, the Sixers aren't a top 4 Eastern team. I'm sorry. They really aren't. So I'm not going to agree with this, James. I think that even if they get the draft pick, there's no guarantee that Joel will be healthy next year, and they'll be very similar to how they were this year, is how I feel like what would have happened. Tyrese is great. Paul George has been a distraction and a waste. And the rest of their team, well, we saw them last night. I don't think they're that good, honestly. So I agree with you guys saying they don't deserve it, but this is the thing. Somebody's going to have to get these picks. And in some ways, it's kind of better if the Sixers get it because they have a history of fumbling in the top of the draft. They really do. If you think about it, Markelle Fultz, Okafor, Ben Simmons, So, yeah, let them fumble at the top. That's what I'm saying. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Thursday. We got the sweep. Not yet. You can't say that. We didn't get the sweep. There's one more game. A sweep is not completed until the season series is over. And we have to play the Sixers in Philadelphia one more time before the end of the season. So the sweep is not completed. We did not get the sweep yet. It's 3-0. Yes, we're undefeated with them, but we have to complete the 4-0 before the sweep is official. Just to be official here, official. Smooth saying, I do think that Orlando Robinson could be a big on the Raptors bench next year. He's shown enough, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with this. I like him. I like him. And I like that progress. And I like that, some of the mistakes he made earlier on are gone. And he's improved. And he's in there fighting. That's the thing I love about it. I like the Raptors when they're physical and big. And he helps us be more physical and big. There's been too many Raptors teams in the history of our 30 years that have been soft up front, not able to take physicality. And in some ways, he adds more of that we need. And that's part of why I want him. James is saying, is SGA better than two-time MVP Steve Nash, in your opinion? This is an important question at this point, because I think this is important. So we're going to do a poll right now, and we're going to say, who is the greatest Canadian player to ever play in the NBA? Who is the greatest NBA player? Is the greatest? Hang on. Greatest NBA Canadian NBA player. I'll say that. NBA player. And we're going to put those two names on there, and we're going to let you guys decide in your opinion. And I will, we'll just put SGA. I don't want to type it all out. And I will talk about my opinion on this while we're doing this. All right. So what I'm going to say is, Steve Nash has 2 MVPs. Steve Nash, his career is all completed and done. SGA's is not yet done yet. So in some ways, if you go by accolades, Steve Nash is still the greatest Canadian player ever in the history of the NBA. But if you're talking about skill level, athleticism, package, as far as the most talented, best player ever in the history of the NBA from Canada, it's SGA. Because SGA has that talent above Steve Nash. Steve Nash would admit this. Man, that guy's so much more talented than me. Seriously. And because of the promise of what SGA is going to be able to do by the end of his career, I will say that SGA may not be completely the greatest Canadian to ever play in the NBA right now, but he will be very shortly. And it could be after this year when they win the championship and he gets the MVP and the finals MVP. That might do enough for me to say, well, Steve never won an NBA championship, but he's a 2-time MVP. But SGA is an MVP and he's has a championship. So in some ways, it's all how you measure it. But I'm going to say this. Steve may still currently be the greatest Canadian to ever play in the NBA, but the most talented and the best Canadian to ever play in the NBA is SGA. And over time, he will become the greatest Canadian to ever play in the NBA. That's kind of where I'm at with this. So let's see. All right, where am I in the chat? I lost my spot, so give me a second. Then I'll find my spot and we'll get back into it. I see that there's a okay, I think I'm right here. There we go. All right, Nako's next. I need to see Embiid's knees perform to call the Sixers good. Also, ain't it crazy that Nurse is seemingly a downgrade from Doc? Now, that is an insult. I won't stand for that, Gerald. That's a strike for you. You can't say that's true. Doc Rivers, if he was in this situation that Nick's in right now, he'd be even worse. I'm going to say that right now. Nah, I can't say this. I mean, both of them are not very good at connecting with their players in certain ways. Yes, I'll say that. But, man, don't do this. Don't put down Nick Nurse for Doc Rivers. I can't say that, Nako. I cannot say this. I think Doc would be just as bad in this situation, honestly. Fiercely saying, rooting for SGA. Yeah, I want SGA to win MVP for sure. Smooth saying that Oliver Miller had some big moments for the Suns in '93. However, he was constantly mocked for his weight. One of those guys that never had the work habits, according to for those in the know. Yeah, this is actually, we should talk about this part of Oliver's life. It's talked about a bit on Prehistoric, Alex Wong's book, about the first year of the Raptors and Oliver's part in it. And this is sad. And this is something that people are more aware about at this point. But back in the day, this was more normalized and it wasn't right. But there was a lot of fan activity at games making fun of Oliver for being fat. And while he was at games, there would be a lot of trash talk from the stands about him eating food and all this stuff. But Oliver, he leaned into it. And he would joke with the fans back, like, yeah, I am going to go eat 4 pizzas after this game, after this. So he was okay with making himself the butt of the jokes. but it's never good to body shame anybody. And there was a whole level of that with him that was just always around him. And taking that kind of negativity and that kind of antagonization regularly can't be good for a person's mental health. We got to think about that. They make fun of Charles on Inside the NBA, and during his career, he got made fun of too in a similar way as Oliver Miller. But Charles turned around and he would make fun of Oliver Miller on top of him back in the day, which was wrong. It's like, Charles, they make fun of you for being fat, and now you're making fun of Oliver for being fat. That's not right. That's not right. So in some ways, I'm glad there's more awareness about body shaming and talking about people's weight and stuff like that, because back in the day, Oliver was just a sitting duck. And in some ways, he made the best out of it by making himself a part of making in on the joke, instead of just totally being like, I'm, fuck you guys, talking about me and Burger King and Big Macs and stuff like that. No, yeah, I'm going to go eat it. Yeah, you're right. And joke around with them. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. Oliver Miller could have been something else if he had better eating habits. In some ways, Oliver Miller is like Zion Williamson of his time. Zion Williamson, if you'd eat better, in some ways, it's the same thing they were trying to talk to Oliver Miller about. Both amazing athletes that carry a huge amount of weight with their athleticism. If you thought about how they would have been if they had just stayed in shape and kind of been more and better, who knows? The sky's the limit with the talent that Oliver Miller had with that big body in his frame and agility. It's crazy. So, but then also some people would say, well, that's part of what made him who he was being that big. Although, he went from crazy different weights. He was supposed to be around 280, maybe a little bit less, but he would be often over 300 pounds in his NBA career. And you could tell when he was overly heavy. I remember when he was on the Pistons, he was especially heavy when he played for the Detroit Pistons, Oliver Miller. So it's a sad thing about how he was mocked for his weight. But in some ways, it's good that he made more awareness of this, and he's a good example for this. But this is sad. He died at 54, and you wonder about mental health and how much abuse he took from fans when he was playing on this subject. It's not good. It's not good. Yeah, he had horrible habits eating wise, and his teammates would talk about what he'd do. Like, he'd get out of the game and he'd eat like 3 whole pizzas by himself without even thinking about it. It's crazy. Like, he was eating like a wrestler or like a lumberjack or something like that. It's crazy what he would eat. Fiercely saying Sixers have no defined system. It's as if they just go with the motion. Definitely not organized, and it shows. Now I get why they also lost while PG, Maxi, and Bozo played. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I get why y'all think they shouldn't be rewarded for being who they are. And you get worried because, like, oh, they just had Embiid out and they come back with a draft pick and they have Embiid healthy. Look out. That's what the Sixers fans want. That's what they want to happen. But I'm telling you right now, I think Embiid's washed, y'all. I really do think he's washed. I think that Embiid is not ever going to return to the NBA and play healthy for a stretch ever again. And that his knee is just gone. The cartilage and everything. You can only do so much going in there and scoping around so many times. And at some point, it's not like they can, I don't know, they have some sort of crazy medical stuff they can do to it to rebuild it up or something like that. But whatever it is, it's not taking. And some would say, much in the vein of what we've been talking about with Oliver Miller, Joel Embiid's not very good at taking care of himself health-wise, eating-wise, and those kind of ways. And this is part of why this problem is happening also. So, man, I don't wish anything good for the Sixers, y'all, but I don't care if they keep their pick. In some ways, I do think it's better for them to get the pick than the Thunder, is what I'm saying. Because I know the Sixers' track record, and they're going to screw that up. So that's how I look at it. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor freaks, most informative gang. Let your love for others drive you towards being your best self. Greatness is buried deep within inside you. That's awesome, Randolph. I love that. That's a very positive words of wisdom from our great friend Randolph Phillips saying, let your love for all others drive you towards being your best self. That's right. Go forth in the world with love. And let's stop going forth with hate. There's enough of these idiots that are doing that right now. And that, you know what? They're going to lose in the end. Trust me. Love will win out in the end. Love always does. So be on the side of love and be an agent of love. Go out there and do nice things for people just inexplicably. was like, why did this guy do this? You know what? I just felt like doing something nice. I'm gonna give you $1,000 at the grocery store. I'm Trevor J. Just do that kind of stuff. And you do amazing things for other people, they pass it forward too. And there's a lot of people doing ugly things to other people, and they pass it around, and that ugliness goes around too. What comes around goes around. So let's put good and love out there. Thank you, Randolph, for your words of wisdom and blessings to the Phillips family and all the Rapid Freak families out there. That's right. Stargate saying, I remember Oliver Miller at Arkansas with Todd Day and Coach Nolan Richardson. Yeah, that's a storied program. Nolan Richardson, the Razorbacks. That's old school right there. Yeah, Corliss Williamson also out of that. Former Raptor Corliss Williamson out of that program also. Yeah, Oliver's such an interesting NBA player. And it's weird how, we didn't really hear about him in recent years. I really kind of wonder if he really was having serious health problems on the down low privately, and just nobody knew about it. Like, I don't know. In some ways, when I hear about his cause of death, it's going to be sad and tragic, I'm sure. And hopefully it's like nothing weird, like, because he came up recently with the Hello and Welcome podcast, and John Batove Jr., one of the original Raptor owners, brought up Oliver as saying is like, yeah, we were worried about him coming here and messing our team up with his work ethic and stuff like that. I hope that Oliver didn't hear that before he died. I don't know. I wish he had came to Toronto this year. Seriously, I really do. Trevor's saying Robinson is a whole lot better than the two other centers we had in the past. Yeah, you're talking about Malik Williams last year. We've had a lot of interesting center tryouts in the years since the championship, and some of them were really bad, really, really bad. Some of them were pretty good, though. Of course, I'm a big fan of Kem Birch. I've always loved Kem Birch. Freddie Gillespie wasn't that bad, but then we can talk about some other guys that were really bad, like Malik Williams last year. He was really bad. No, Orlando has been fantastic, and he's a keeper as far as I'm concerned. Fiercely saying, at some point, cameras went over to the Sixers staff. The coaches seemed over it and checked out. Their facial expressions were gold. Well, I mean, they're going to mirror Nick to a degree. They have a weird staff. Bobby Jackson, former Sacramento King on Nick's staff. He's an interesting guy. He's kind of like his Earl Watson right now. And then, of course, Rico being there, Rico Hines. I could just hear Rico yelling at them like it was be a Rico runs. It's like, y'all, no bush league stuff. No fitting people in the air. All this stuff that Rico says during the Rico runs and all the stuff he values. I don't know. Like I said, I felt like last night's game was a little bit of a glorified Rico Hines run. Seriously, it was a little bit like that, the feel of it, and the up and down tempo, and the young players really trying their ass off. Let's see. Smooth saying Nick Nurse admitted during his post-game presser that he shut it down this year. It's all about next season for them. Yeah, if he gets the next season. If he gets the next season, we'll see how this offseason goes for Nick. We'll have to see. Those fans are really coming after him right now, from what I hear. So Nako's saying there's something about Colin that makes me see the Twin Towers vision like the old Wolves or Cavs. Man, Castleton, he's doing better like as we go, but also at the same time, I see limits with him. Like, I really worry about his strength. He really is easily pushed around, but if he can assert himself and play more confidently, he can overcome this. But I just really worry because sometimes I've seen him flinch. Let's just put it that way. I've seen him flinch. Sometimes in the NBA, you got to be just crazy confident and just even delusionally confident to do what you got to do to compete at that level. And well, I seen him flinch. I seen him kind of be sheepish and a little bit like backing down. And we can't have that. Orlando has been very strong and forthright and steadfast. And in some ways, Colin Castleton has been pushed around a bit. Let's just put it that way. Now, if he can stick around with the Raptors this summer, get a work weight program, maybe we see him in summer league this summer, and we see growth up here. Maybe he can stick around. I don't know. That Twin Towers vision you're having is interesting because the Raptors have not done this very often in their whole entire history. I've had two centers out on the court playing at the same time. It's very interesting to see the Raptors so big in recent games because we have three centers available out of 8 players playing. So it's like, well, Orlando, Jakob, and Colin are all playing, well, we're gonna have one of them playing at power forward sometimes because two of them will be out there, and it's worked pretty good. Darko's actually talked about this in interviews, talking about doing the two big lineups, and he's just toying with it and seeing what it looks like, and seeing if he can get away with Castleton playing the four alongside the two of them like that. Another thing that was interesting about the game last night was we were playing without point guards, traditional point guards, a lot of the game last night. Very, very interesting to see Darko's system being run without Shed or Quickly out there, or even Barnes or Barrett. And it was going to the hands. And Darko said this and after the game that he wanted to see Jared Rhoden and AJ Lawson get time at point guard in the second half last night and see how they ran the team. Well, they must have done a pretty good job. He didn't play Shed at all in the second half, hardly at all. They didn't even start him in the second half. He sat the whole second half. So they were playing without a point guard. Garrett Temple was doing point guard for a little while at times. AJ Lawson, Jared Rhoden doing point guard. It was crazy. It's good. I knew that Jared Rhoden had point guard skills from watching him on 905. He's been playing point guard for Andrew Jones down there a bit. So he's a very capable point guard. AJ Lawson's a little more reckless when he's playing point guard. He may turn the ball over a lot when he's in control of the ball. So I trust Rhoden a little bit more when he's running point. And then, of course, Garrett Temple, what a luxury. Just like Vince and Alvin said, that's great to have an old vet like Garrett who can play any position. I mean, they've asked Garrett to play center in his tenure with the Raptors. You guys remember that, right? The first year he was on our team, we were down with so many injuries last year that he had to play center in some of our games this time last year. So now he can play point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. Garrett Temple, not the best, but he can at least do it. Yeah, let's see. Fiercey saying, I've never seen Nick Nurse so jolly and smiling this much, especially with other coaches. Does he know Sixers fans want him gone? I don't know. He probably hears the noise to an extent. I just feel like Nick was a kinder, gentler version of him. In some ways, we got to understand Nick Nurse is an ultimate competitor. He grew up in a household with many, many siblings, and they had very limited resources as far as food and things in his house when he was a little kid. So he had to fight all of his siblings for anything, like just eating breakfast cereal in the morning. So he's like that. He's a very ultimate competitor kind of guy, win, win, win kind of guy. But with the pressure off of winning this year, because of the way they are, he's kind of chilled out. And I think that's the energy I've seen in Nick last night is, yeah, he's waved the white flag on this season, and all the pressure to be Nick Nurse, ultimate competitor, win at all costs, Nick Nurse, is off the table. And so you can see the kinder, more gentler, friendlier Nick Nurse. And that's really what it is right there. Smooth saying he's got job security. Be interesting what they do with the roster because Nick will be the coach. Well, that I think you're probably right. I know that in Sixers Nation, who may be watching us today, they would be saying stuff like, "I'd rather have Nick than Joel on this team." There were a lot of people in Sixers Nation that would rather that, but a lot of them are soured on the coach, and so it would be interesting to see how that shakes out. There may be that Joel is more unpopular than Nick Nurse. It really may come down to that. It may be like, I thought that Joel and Nick were not a good pair to put together because they have animosity from before. And I don't think they've actually really kind of gelled very well as a coach and a player since he's been there. So it could very well be Sixers Nation standing with Nick and saying, we need to just get rid of Joel. He's a dead end and we're not going to get anywhere with him. They got Maxey. Maxey's definitely the keeper, the guy that they want to keep around. Paul George has been a waste of time. And Joel, maybe he gets traded this summer. We'll have to see. I don't know. You think that Nick Nurse has the security because of his friendship with Daryl Morey. That may be true. Fiercey's saying, it's bad when PJ Tucker and Patrick Beverly are your replacements. Yeah, I think that those are just names. In some ways, those are guys who are trying to chase a ring at the end of their career right now. PJ Tucker and Pat Bev. The funny thing is these guys, PJ's on a 10-day contract. It doesn't mean he's going to go to the playoffs with them. He could show up, hang out with them, and they'll be like, yeah, he's a waste of time. He's waived, and he won't be on their playoff roster. So even though these old names are showing up all of a sudden, Patrick Beverly coming from Israel, playing over there recently, and PJ Tucker finally coming out of the shoe closet to show up for the Knicks at this point. Doesn't mean they're going to be playing in the playoffs because they may not waste a playoff roster spot on these guys when it comes to that time. They may be just filling in right now. Yeah, Seymour saying, who told the announcer to knock off that horn after every three? He was going crazy one quarter after then it stopped. Wait, there was some horn in the game last night? I didn't notice that. That's interesting. Seymour, you should feel honored that you got the classic card yesterday. Very strange. Very crazy. Very, very crazy. Stargate's here. Good to see Stargate. The modern NBA team doesn't construct their rosters for winning championships. They construct them for entertainment. Just gathering a collection of the same type of talent isn't enough. You know, that may be true for some teams, but I don't think it's true for our team. I think that we really intricately have a plan and we really do have types of players that interlock as a puzzle piece to fit together to cover all the different aspects you need to win in the basketball. And I mean, because I can just see it. You know, we're very particular this time. Before, when we were doing Vision 6-9, this may have been true. This may have been true. We're just getting a certain type of player, but it doesn't necessarily win. Well, I think we're doing things right, and a lot of it has to do with basketball theory. It has to do with Darko's vision of what winning basketball is at this level of the NBA at this point in history and time, with the 3-point shot and everything involved. And I think it's sound. I think that the fact that Darko is doing a European style offense with a lot of passing and sharing and getting guys involved is part of what's cultivated the fantastic vibes and chemistry on our team. And that in some ways, the Raptors may once again be showing the future for the rest of the league as far as like being innovative in certain ways with this kind of stuff. So I'm excited. Leaning into more FIBA style basketball with our coach Darko has been paying off with the development and the gains that we're making as a franchise in a rebuild. And other teams are going to notice this and they're going to look at it. And it's a copycat league. We always say this. They're going to steal some of our stuff. Watch. They're going to steal some of our stuff. I truly believe. I believe these guys when they say they're building to a championship. Scotty ain't messing around with his life. He wants a championship. Masai Ujiri said Toronto will win another championship again. He doesn't mince words. I believe in Masai. I believe in what he's saying. I think we will win. And it may be because we have a lot of young players that are under 25 and they all have room to grow. And that room to grow all accumulates together just like the snow out in the yard. And all of a sudden, boom, you got it. You got it because Grady did this, Jacoby did this, Jamal did this, Scotty did this, RJ did this. And they all grew a bit over the summer and got better. That's it right there. That's it right there. Reggie's saying the Sixers might win one game the rest of the way. They're that bad. Well, and also their schedules. They said in the broadcast last night the Sixers have like the third easiest schedule. We have the easiest, and they have one of the easiest too. So we'll have to see. I mean, they're really slumming. And once again, I'll say this: them practicing losing is not going to benefit them next year. Us practicing winning right now is going to benefit us next year, even if we lose some ping pong balls. This is not good health-wise for their team. This does not build any kind of confidence. And in some ways, the action they're practicing is a losing action. So go ahead and do this. This is what y'all been doing for a decade now. And well, have y'all won a championship in the last 10 years? No, you haven't, but we have, is what I'll say. That's what I'll say right there. Yeah. Stargate saying the players have to fit together and also stay healthy. Yeah. Yeah. You need the proper everything together. You need your health and the players available. You need top level players you're paying a lot of salary to, especially being available. Talking about the Clippers and Kawhi and their situation in the last few years. You know, you really want to get your value out of your salary cap because everybody's limited by the salary cap at this point. There's no crazy ass spending unless you're trying to go into the second apron and you're spending all kinds of crazy money on top. But there's limits to that even too. So it's not like you can super build teams like with stacking them with crazy like overspending. And now everybody's got a budget and it's kind of a fair, even playing field. And it really is the artistry of the front offices and how good they are with drafting talent and paying for talent and not wasting money on talent. Because there's a lot of players that get overpaid in this league, toxic assets, and they're holding up their team from winning, Bradley Beal. And I'm just saying that kind of stuff is part of the management. Make sure you don't have any dead notes on the piano. Make sure everybody you're paying big money to is showing up and contributing to your team on a nightly basis. and not sitting in street clothes on the bench. That's a lot of it right there. That's a lot of it right there. That's right. Trevor's saying Desmond Bain and Darko is Darko's guy. He's doing a good job in Toronto and gave Darko credit for his career. Yeah, I don't know. This is old news. I mean, this is something that's been out since Darko's been our coach. We know that Desmond Bain and Darko are very close. That Desmond Bain gives a lot of credit to Darko for why he is the player he is today. And Darko turns around and says that Desmond Bain is the most talented player he's ever coached in the NBA. Now, in some ways, that don't make sense to me, but whatever, because you coach Scotty Barnes right now. But Desmond Bain, he likes to give him a lot of credit. There's a lot of love between those two guys. That's for sure. But this is old news. This is stuff that came out when we first hired Darko. Unless they're saying new stuff right now, well, it's kind of recycled. Let's see. Fiercey saying, Shed demonstrates what I keep telling my daughter. Fundamentals matter. You develop good habits and master the basics. You should have no problem integrating a good system. No flashiness needed. Yeah, I've always respected very easy meat and potatoes kind of play over flashy LaMelo stuff, because in some ways you're risking losing the ball the more flashy you are. I get it. Some ways you want to entertain the people and give them like a show like Vince Carter did in Oakland. But also at the same time, you want to win. And winning basketball is fundamental and it's smart. And it's not doing extra shit that you don't need to do, like Scotty looking back on a dunk. Just dunk it, Scott. Just dunk it, please. It's that kind of stuff. And that's the right way to raise Fiercey Jr. Trust me. That's the right way to raise her. That's right. Smooth saying, seriously, though, it was a summer pickup game for Philly. That's what it was. You had a Raptors team that did all they do to lose, but they had structure. This is totally right, Reggie. I'm telling you, the dysfunction of the Sixers was on display last night. The ineffectiveness of Nick Nurse's coaching this year, along with the injuries, the players aren't playing together. They didn't look that good. Sixers were weird. Quentin Grimes going off here. Kelly Oubre gets a steal here. But still, it's like they don't have organization. They don't play together. They don't play right. Well, a team that plays together, a team that communicates, a team that has effort, like our team, even if it's the end of the bench and the guys that are from G League, they still going to beat that dysfunction. And that's why I said this is a testament to the culture and the team building of Darko and what he's doing right now, that system can be put in with undrafted players, and they're going to be successful in it to beat a team like the Sixers. In some ways, Andre Drummond, Kelly Oubre, they should be embarrassed because those guys are longtime pros that are bona fide guys that are established in this league, and they just got beat by Jakob Poeltl and a bunch of undrafted players. Seriously. Jakob Poeltl, a second rounder, and a bunch of undrafted players. You should be ashamed of yourself, Andre Drummond. You already should be ashamed of yourself. Look at your career. You were an all-star. You had huge contracts. And what are you now? You're basically a just big doorstop at this point. Like, you don't even score any points, man. You're such a waste. It's like you're robbing the NBA for money at this point, Andre Drummond. Seriously, why don't you just go over to China like Dwight Howard at this point? Seriously, it's your waste. You are a waste, Andre Drummond. Seriously, old penguin walking motherfucker. That's what I was say right there. Yeah, let's keep going. Trevor's saying the Sixers team, like a sandcastle, the highways just wash it all away. Yeah, I see Jeff Doughton trying. Jeff Doughton's trying to have a revenge game out there at least. Jeffrey Doughton. Let's see. Jeffrey Doughton, 27 minutes, 9 and 14 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 foul, a -3 with 20 points in 27 minutes. Yeah, Ricky Council got that dunk, looking like Dr. J. Vince was like, "You look like Dr. J." I'm like, whatever. And Aiden Bana, 13 points in 23 minutes. He's an interesting young prospect. He's very, very big, strong guy. Quentin Grimes was him. He's trying to be him for a while there. 29 points, 11 and 23 shooting, 2 of 8 from 3. Yeah, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 6 turnovers, though, for Quentin Grimes. What did Andre Drummond do in the game where the other centers on our side were outscoring him? Orlando Robinson outscored him 25 points to 4 points for Andre Drummond. Only 6 rebounds. You're a joke, bro. You are a joke. That's all I got to say. Andre Drummond is a joke, man. Seymour saying, straight belt 2-ass Sixers getting their beats. I love that they won. I enjoyed the game immensely. I know some Raptors fans are like, this is not what we should be doing. Why are we doing this? Why did we win? But I love it. It's the Sixers. We beat them. We're sweeping them so far this season. We need to beat them one more time, and we'll get the season sweep. And I want to do that. I seriously do. And I'm sure the Sixers want us to do it too. Running back Philly's probably going crazy, thanking the Raptors right now. Thank you, Raptors. Thank you. Thank you. You're helping us keep our pick. Thank you, Raptors. I don't care. In some ways, like I said, the Thunder getting that pick, it may be bad. It may be even worse if they get the pick. Smooth saying Philly had no structure at all. Very bad. Yep. Nurse must have been sick having to play his youth. G saying that about Nick Nurse. Yeah, I don't know. Nurse, I don't know. Nurse is in a weird place right now. There's no pressure at this point, and he can just kind of go through the motions. I don't know. Maybe Sixers fans are happy with him because he's losing so much right now. Seymour saying Bana reminds me of a more polished and in control Isaiah Stewart. Yeah, he's strong, man. He's very scary. And I like how the announce crew is saying he's the kind of player you don't want to play against in practice. He's gonna hurt you. He'll hurt his own teammates. That's a very dangerous player to have around. He in some ways he like makes me think of Malak. Seriously, in some ways there's similarities to Bana and Malak. I think maybe Bana is a little bit more defensive, get after it, but Malak may have more offense than Bana has. But if we want that kind of player, that's why I like Common Malak because he has got that similar kind of body and strength. Is what I'm talking about. Stargate saying, yeah, Roden is more controlled as a player than AJ. Yeah, this has been definitely the case in 905 and G League this whole season. The Jared Roden is just a very fundamentally controlled player, like Jamal Shed, like Fiercely pointed out. And AJ is a little bit more wild and chaotic. And part of it is that AJ Lawson has a hyperdrive speed that he goes into where he just goes so fast. He's one of the fastest players in the league, honestly. And that can be chaotic. Also, with AJ, sometimes his shooting mechanics are all over the place. He's not totally set with his shot and the way he shoots sometimes, squaring up. He's kind of a crazy baller shooter that's just going to throw it up and try and make it. And if he's hitting it, it looks good. But if he's not, it could look really bad. And he can miss a lot. So there is a little bit of a less discipline with AJ Lawson versus Jared Roden if you're comparing the two to them. Yeah. Let's see. Reggie saying, I think Roden is locked into a two-way contract for next year as well. Yes, he is. He is already on track to be on our team next year. And that's fantastic because Jared Roden provides another great point of attack defender in the backcourt. And he's very effective at getting the ball loose and getting steals. And that's something we like. Something like Gary Trent Jr. used to do back in the day. Or, hey, let's go all the way back to Doug Christie and say somebody who get after those steals like Doug Christie does. Jared Roden's got that. He's got that. And he, like I said, he was proud of his 4 steals in the game last night. That's the stat he liked the best from his box score himself personally. Yeah. G saying, apparently Kyle gave Orlando some advice and he said he played his butt off. Yeah, I love this. I mean, Kyle ain't hating on the Raptors. He may be on the enemy team, but man, it's like at this point, it's all peaceful and awesome. And, Nick Nurse is smiling and hugging Darko after the game. And Jeff Doughton Jr. is dapping Scotty, and Kyle Lowry's giving advice to our players. Hey, something's friendly is going on here. Very friendly. Yeah, let's see. Carlo is saying, good morning, Lex and fellow freaks. Don't worry. Chris will play in the play-ins, baby. If we get to them, I still don't know if we need to do the play-in or not. If we get all the way there, that'd be fantastic. If we get there, it's because these guys earned it, these young guys. It'll be because they were playing more than our starters, and they got us there. But then maybe the starters will get the chance to play the play-in more. Like all of a sudden, it'd be like these guys who played last night do all the winning in the last month of the season, and then Scotty and them take over in the playing game, and they like lead our team then. Would that be how it all goes down? Maybe. DK's here. Good morning to DK, Raptor Freak DK. Good to see you. Tomorrow, late game versus the Jazz, 9:30 p.m. start Eastern time. Yeah, West Coast road trip. Get ready to stay up, y'all. We got a whole week of it. This is a 9-day road trip. The Raptors will not be back until a week from this Sunday when they play the Spurs and Victor. Well, not Victor. He's not playing. I'll be going to that game, the first game back, the San Antonio game. But yeah, we're going to go play 5 games on the road very soon, starting tomorrow with Utah. They're flying out there today. And yeah, I actually am glad that they sat Scotty last night, partly because of this. Because in some ways, you play a game, you get sore the next day. And when you're getting on a long plane ride, first one out, you don't want to be sitting on the plane all sore for like a long hours trip. The flight out to to Utah is a long flight. And in some ways, resting a bunch of our guys so that they're not sore today from playing last night is smart. Because, in some ways, Scotty's going to play against the Jazz on Friday night. He won't miss another game probably for the rest of the year. Trust me. And, him not being all beat up and sore on the plane and getting an extra rest day for the game last night, that's strategic sitting for Scott. Very, very smart. Just sit him out before the long ride out west. And there you go. There you go. I like that. I like that. That's right. Seymour saying mountain time, baby. 7:30 mountain time. That's right, City Slicker. That's right. G saying the league alerts posted Roden with the caption, "Another star is rising in Toronto." I like to see that the NBA is putting us a little bit more on blast. In some ways, like there's xenophobia towards us with not promoting us. It's like, been kind of like not very nice. But in this climate of politics right now, maybe the NBA is being more progressive, like it always has leaned. And there's kind of, the NBA can be very powerful in what's going on politically right now. Like you got to think about it. They're a big corporation. They make a lot of money, and it's not in their best interest for the United States and Canada to be in conflict. And in some ways, we know that sports can be a uniter and also a thing that gets us through tough times. So I really, really hope that Adam Silver, Larry Tannenbaum, Masai Ujiri, and the rest of the NBA officials really, really lean into, the difference between Canada and the United States is this. We like it this way, and we want to keep it this way. And in some ways, Adam Silver has a big stake in some of this issues that's going on because the NBA is an international league with a team in Canada and the other teams in the United States. So, man, this is an interesting aspect of the whole political scene right now. Is what is the NBA like? The NBA was such a figurehead part of what happened 5 years ago, around right now with the shutdown of the world and COVID. They really were kind of the leader that said we're shutting down because of this pandemic, and everybody followed suit. So the NBA has a lot of power, a lot of influence. And in some ways, I really hope that Adam Silver uses that influence and power to help this situation that's going on right now. And maybe putting Canada on the blast and Toronto a little bit more on blast and giving us a little bit more respect can help the political climate right now in some ways. I really hope so. The booing of the anthems up here in Canada is justified as far as I'm concerned. And in some ways, the very much passionate patriotic love for our anthem also in reverse is justified also. We are very proud to be Canadians, and that's what we want to continue to stay and be, sovereign and free. That's what I got to say on that subject right there. So yeah, but the NBA is an interesting situation in that whole aspect of things. Think about it. Smooth saying that it's looking like KD will be traded in the summer. Houston is a prime suitor. Look for Fred VanVleet's option to be picked up and traded the Suns for KD. This is crazy. Do you think they're going to do that seriously? Because I think MA really likes Fred. Once again, he's wanted Fred there instead of James Harden. And well, I think he enjoys working with Fred. So I don't know. Just because Kevin wants something doesn't mean everybody's going to bend over backwards to help Kevin. I've heard Kevin was going to go to the Dallas Mavericks, actually, not the Houston Rockets. That they're going to figure it out and they're going to make up for Doncic going away by bringing Durant to the Mavericks this summer. That's the location I heard he's going to through the rumor mill, just so you know. Carlos saying, are we able to keep AJ Lawson, Roden, or Orlando for bench depth next year? I think we can keep all of them. I mean, Roden's already under contract for next year. The other two are not. But Orlando's probably earned it at this point. They said they got to give him a chance to play the rest of the season, and we'll talk to him this summer. So there's a lot of little exceptions that we could use on these players in certain ways. I don't know if we keep AJ for sure. I think that maybe next year AJ's a two-way for us again, but Orlando's a full contract, and Roden's a two-way also already. So I think that it's very likely that all three of them will be on our team next year. Yeah. Smooth saying Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green are with picks for KD. That's the rumor you're hearing? Well, I don't think MA wants that. I'm going to say this once again. The person that matters in this situation in some ways is Udoka. And Fred is his extension on the court. He loves Fred. In some ways, everything that Houston's done well in the last 2 years is attributed to Fred being there in a lot of ways. And Houston understands this. I know you're a big Rockets fan from the past, but I think that Fred's key. And I think that he is very much valued on that team more than bringing in Kevin Durant. So I know you're an old Rockets fan. Would you rather have Kevin Durant on your team than Fred VanVleet? If I was a Rockets fan, I wouldn't, because Kevin Durant has not won jack shit since Golden State, and he's actually been kind of a waste of time every single place he's gone to since, whether it's Brooklyn or Phoenix or wherever. It's just a waste of time. So I don't know if M.A. Udoka understands this. He might understand this and say, yeah, I don't want Kevin. I didn't want James. Why would I want Kevin? And Fred's my guy. So I don't totally believe your rumors, although you do have a pulse on the Rockets because of your fandom. Seymour's saying if Booker leaves, get Jalen with Fred. If Book stays, Jabari and Fred. But anyway, fuck the Suns. If I'm the Suns, I let Kevin walk. I let Bradley. I hope Bradley would walk, but he won't because he's a no trade clause. Yeah, but you definitely keep Booker in Phoenix. You definitely keep Booker. He's the franchise guy. He's the guy who's been there the longest. And in some ways, he's their best main player. He really is. So he's younger. He's the youngest one, too. So let's see. All right, where Reggie Booker might be moved as well. Suns are going to reset. They're going to have to do it again. That's hilarious. Yep, 100%. That's wild. Tristan Trey, good to see you, Raptor Freak Tristan Trey. Seymour saying it's Reggie. Who can you use a book in your opinion? Who can use book in your opinion? Although I'm not a fan of Booker. Man, I don't care. I don't want to speculate on this. I don't know if Reggie answered you. James is saying we have the assets to get Booker. We don't want Booker here. We don't want Booker here. I don't understand that move. Once again, I will say this, guys. When you have chemistry and vibes like the Raptors do, you don't start switching guys out on a major level. Like if you're getting to like, let's trade Barrett for Booker or something like bullshit like that, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. The vibes are already good. In some ways, Devin Booker has been in this league for how long? He's a little bit older. And RJ's only 24, and he has so much room to grow still. So I would say this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if we have good chemistry, and we just got Brandon Ingram, we don't need Devin Booker on our team. We bring in Devin Booker for some of these other guys, the chemistry may not be as good. I mean, seriously. So I am not into making big trade pieces, like trying to go out and get a Devin Booker or a Kevin Durant here. That don't make no sense to me. We got good chemistry already, and those guys have a proven track record. Well, Kevin does. I don't know about Booker of not being good for vibes. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Seymour saying interesting, but I don't see him coming north. I don't want any of them coming north. I don't want none of the Suns up here. We're good who we got. Trust me, we don't need to make much changes. We draft Malak. We come in with Brandon healthy next year, and we're going to be a playoff team next year. We don't need to do anything else, guys. We really don't. Yeah. Seymour saying our Raptor mascot needs that 1-versus-1 fade with Book. That's another reason why we can't have Devin Booker. Obviously, because of the Raptor. Obviously, that's right. Seymour saying, wait, what? Big O died? Yeah, you didn't hear about this, Seymour? We did the classic card yesterday. You got it. And then yesterday afternoon, Oliver Miller passed away at 54, and they announced it before the Raptors game last night, and they did a tribute to him. That is weird as fuck that we had him as our classic card yesterday, and he passed away on the very same day. In fact, we were talking about how we wished he would come back to the arena and get his flowers as an original Raptor. Well, it's not going to happen now. Life is not granted to everybody every day. And sadly, we learned that lesson yesterday with the big O, Oliver Miller. It's crazy, Seymour. It's crazy. James is saying Paul George more worried about his podcast. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Trevor's saying Jokic said in an interview SGA should be the MVP. He deserves it. There you go. Nicola's even saying it. He's even saying it. Yeah. Fiercey saying, I thought it was 4-0 already. My bad. No, we got to play them one more time. And actually, we play them before the end of this month still. So we're going to play them one more time in Philadelphia, and it'll be the final fourth game. So it's not over yet. That's right. We still got time to play them. All right. I might need a cutoff today, guys, since Monique is not here. And we're about 15 minutes away from 2 hours. Smooth saying at Seymour, I really like Booker on Orlando. He fits perfectly there, and the Suns could use a five. Wendell Carter. This is not what we want. We don't want to make the Magic better. But in some ways, this would really help them, especially from what I saw the Magic do last time. Although, how much more will he help him? I mean, you got Franz and you got Paulo, and they're one on one kind of isolation players. In some ways, the Magic are not built right completely. And I don't know if Booker is exactly the right player for that problems that they are having there. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Thinking about it though. Nako saying number one Canadian player, Chris Boucher, because of those rings. Well, if you go by rings, yeah, I guess it is Chris. Considering he has 2 rings. He has 2 rings. He has a Golden State ring and he has a Raptor ring. That's right. That's right. And speaking of rings, on the latest episode of the Kensington Variety VIP Club episode from 5 years ago, the NBA had officially shut down, and I'm reacting to it from because of the pandemic. And also on the episode, I'm giving out replica championship rings to people on the show. And my friend Enoch buys a Pascal Siakam championship ring on the episode. So check that out in the video tab on this channel, the Kensington Variety VIP Club time capsule. And it's counting what happened 5 years ago when COVID-19 hit the world. Yeah, you can see what was happening at the time. It's crazy. Fiercely saying Nash was amazing. I choose SGA because he currently carries a team and seems to be him for many years to come. Some people say that Nash didn't deserve the 2 MVPs he got. Maybe one of them. But a lot of people think that Shaq got robbed on one of them. And Shaq himself truly believes this, that he thinks that one of Steve Nash's MVPs should have been his MVP. And that should be taken into account. Now, Nash is weird because he's a point guard. And in some ways, he was never really the main go-to scorer on any of the teams he was on. It was like Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, people like that. And it is kind of weird that he won 2 MVPs in a row. In some ways, I don't want to discount him because I love Nash. I met him once in real life. Actually, I was friends with him for a period of time, and I saw him regularly. But still, at the same time, it's like his 2 MVPs are kind of fraudulent. Let's just put it that way. He should maybe be a 1-year MVP. I don't think he should have won it twice, is what I'm saying. SGA is best ISO scorer in the league. He makes it look easy. That's James saying that. Yeah. Like I said in a recent stream, he's the closest thing to Jordan with some of the trick shots and the balance and the gracefulness and the amazing going through defenses and finding a way to score somehow, some way. And there's been highlights like that from the game last night against the Celtics. The way that he's able to get in the lane and kind of go through Celtics defenders and still manage to get the ball to drop in the hoop, it is beautiful. It's a beautiful, crazy finesse, beautiful kind of game, just like Jordan. It's not Jordan necessarily. It's not necessarily the hops or anything like that. It's more of the elegance, the footwork, the exact using his body and just slitheriness. It's amazing. It's amazing. He is the best scorer in the league. I agree with you, James. Yeah. Seymour saying Bill Wennington, the best Canadian baller ever, because he had so many rings. No, it's SGA, Shaden, and Edie on the rise. Yeah, I like that Vince and Alvin were talking about Shaden Sharp needs to do the dunk contest. They're right. So does John Morant. That would help the dunk contest immensely if those 2 guys would just step up, the 2 of them in particular. But there's other guys in this league that could step up and do the dunk contest also. It's an easy way to get your name out there and make a name for yourself. That's right. Seymour saying, good luck today, Ford at the White House. Yeah, yikes. I don't even want to bring this up. Yeah, I don't want to even bring this up. I'm just going to keep going. I don't want to talk about it. Let's see. You put a brick wall on your own cutoff. Okay. You put your own cutoff. Okay. Mischief's here. Good to see the base man, Jay. Hope you're having a great day, Jay. Good to see you back, Raptor Freak Mischief. Lex, you think the Raptors will pass the Chicago Bulls since Josh Giddey is injured? I'd be happier if the Sixers end up with the draft pick than this OKC because I think OKC will pick Rasheer Fleming 7th. Interesting. So he's not even projected in the top 7 on ESPN's mock draft this morning. But you think that Fleming might go to them? Wow, that's interesting because they have Malak and Queen as the top 2 big guys. But you saying Fleming's up there? Oh, interesting. Now, Mischief is a draft head. He loves the draft. I don't know, man. You look at the standings, and we're like almost 5 games behind Chicago still. Now there is enough games to make it up, but we really have to win, 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 win a lot. And we could. We could. I mean, the toughest 2 games are in Golden State, and then we host the Pistons before the end of the year at home. Those are the only 2 teams that are winning teams that we play for the rest of the year. I don't know. We'll just have to take it as it goes. In some ways, every game, I'm wondering, are we trying to lose or not? Are we going to win because the young guys are just like that and they really want to show what they can do and stay in the NBA? That's what it's been so far. I mean, think about it. Our last 6 games, we should have probably won all 6 of them. Shed shot counted. We're on a 6-game winning streak right now, guys. Seriously. If Shed's shot had counted, that little split second that Josh Tibbin said, oh, it didn't count. In some ways, they should have counted it because it's the hometown. Send the hometown fans happy home. And well, that counted. We are on a 6-game winning streak right now. Seriously, if that one shot had counted, that's it right there. It's crazy. Stargate saying this is the only thing that worries me about Derek Queen. If the Raptors draft him, his body type seems to be that type, has a propensity to potentially be overweight. Hope he has a good work ethic. Yeah, he's the guy who I'd liken to OG. He's a little bit like a similar kind of body type as OG Anunoby in some ways. Like I like his wingspan and I liked his strength. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really big on Malak. Obviously I've said it over and over again, and that's who I like. But I've also been fine with Queen and Fleming as far as like we're looking at big men near the top of the draft. That's where we should be looking for Toronto. That's the most important thing right there. Nako saying at mischief. I like Rasheer, but 7th seems generous. I wouldn't draft him over Boyles. Okay. Yeah, you guys are more draft experts than me. I'm just kind of looking at the scouts you guys give me, and then every once in a while I'll look at a mock draft like the one I just did. Yeah, DK saying 23-game winning streak. Okay, okay, all right. I don't know if that's possible for the end of the season. I don't think we have enough games. I don't think we do. Mischief saying at Nako, Rasheer Fleming has a 7'5" wingspan, 240 pounds, 6'9", 3-and-D two-way player with a 42% three-point shooting at a high clip. 5 threes per game. Imagine Fleming, Barnes, Ingram, Jacoby, RJ. There you go. There you go. Man, you're selling me on this. I mean, I don't know if you're his agent, but you got me thinking I like Rasheer Fleming for what you just described right there. 7'5" wingspan. Hello. Hello. I like that. Stargate saying, as I said on my call, Lex, the call from the Thursday think tank. We do a Thursday think tank where people call in sometimes on the show, just so y'all know. I believe Scotty can be the new archetype for the new generation North American player, the Swiss Army knife player, just like Steph was with the long-range shooting player. I like Scott's build because in some ways he's old school. He really is old school, and he does things fundamentally right. We're getting back to this whole thing about Jamal Shed and fundamentals and doing it right, like Fiercey's teaching Fiercey Jr. Well, Scotty's like that too, and Scotty's an all-around player. And people will see the success in players in the league are people like Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, people that have all-around talent. And that's why when Bobby and Masai drafted Scotty, they were so happy because they realized they landed one of those very, very difficult to find players. Now, are young players going to stop emulating Steph Curry and wanting to just shoot threes all the time? And they're going to be wanting to be more all-around players to make the league? Maybe. Maybe this could happen with Scotty, where he sets a trend where there's a lot of great all-around athletically gifted players that can beat people with size and speed like Scotty. But this is the thing. The reason why this may not happen is because they're rare, and you can't just make yourself into one of these. You have to be genetically predisposed athletically with the gifts that Scotty Barnes has. So I don't know if this will come true because in some ways Scotty is a diamond in the rough. There's not many diamonds out there so that they can be prevalent. Does that make sense? Stargate saying, changing the way the game is played from a modern long-range heavy style of game. I like the idea of him bringing the post back. I like the idea of him making it cool to be an all-around player again and not overemphasize the three. I do like that. G saying Miller passed away from cancer. That's what they're saying? He died from cancer? Man, that sucks, man. That's so sad. I mean, you really do need to keep your body healthy. And what you eat and what you do, it adds to who you are. It's true. You are what you eat. You're literally putting cells and things in your body from the food you eat that become your body. So you eat McDonald's all the day, you become McDonald's. And you don't want that. So it's better for people to get away from processed foods, chemically made foods in labs and stick with foods that your grandma would recognize from like 100 years ago. So, yeah, it's important. It's very important to eat healthy and eat clean and stop eating junk, because the more junk you put in your body, the more you're going to build up bad things in your body. I'm telling you right now. Randolph's saying, Lex, if Nurse gets fired, do you think he comes back as Team Canada's coach? And why, when teams are doing so bad, they don't turn the coaching over to the assistant? That's an interesting question, Randolph. I don't think Nick will ever come back to Team Canada. I don't think Nick will ever come back to Canada in certain ways. He's had his time here. And in some ways, it's not healthy for people to just try and revisit the past over and over again. It's time to move forward on to new and newer things. I think if Nick gets fired, he needs to take a year off and just take a year for himself and his health to get better and feel better, and then come back a year after that. I think if he jumps from the Sixers to another team immediately, that'd be bad news. In some ways, this man's been going strong since 2010. This guy's been not relenting in his coaching career, going every year, all out, all out, all out. He needs a break. He needed a break after the Raptors career when he got fired by us. But the Sixers had to jump on him right away. No rest for him. So he still needs a break. He's burnt out. So I think he needs a year away from everything, at least a year if he does get fired this summer. When he loses the job with the Sixers, he needs a year off, at least a year, if not maybe two, the way he's been built up with so much stuff. As far as the assistant coach thing, well, Nick has done this in the past. He very much will take nights off where he just kind of doesn't show up and says, Griff's coaching us tonight. Adrian Griffin's the coach tonight. Or Earl Watson's our coach tonight. Remember, he did that stuff for a little bit. Some of it was because he wasn't available for some reason. Maybe he was sick. He had COVID at one point, and these other guys had to coach. But he's turned the reins over to people and let them coach before. Yeah. Mo's here. Good to see Superfan Monique Lawrence. Did not go to the game last night, but was in with the chat with us last night. Good to see you, Mo. I hope you're having a good morning. Good morning, Raptor Freak Crew. Stick a fork in the tankers. I'm happy for Raptors. And rest in peace, Oliver Miller. Yeah, that was sad. There you go. I love that Mo said that. We're going to give Mo a dunk. Says, stick a fork in the tankers. Listen, I mean, they can't get mad at this some ways. I mean, even Josh Lewenberg and the way the press is talking about this, it's like you can't get mad at these young players for taking their chance and trying to make the best of it and still winning the game. A lot of people are like, well, we need to lose. We need to lose. Well, Jared Rhoden's wanting an NBA career. Sorry, y'all. 36 points for you, Monique, on the dunk charts. There you go. Carlos saying, fun stat by Krathika. 104 of the Raptors' 118 points were scored by undrafted players. I know. That's amazing to me. That's absolutely amazing. And the Raptors are doing all kinds of interesting stuff recently with their stats and breaking records and stuff like that. Nako saying at mischief. Rasheer is definitely a good talent. Boyles, I think, is a little bulkier and athletic. Yeah, we'll have to see. I remember looking at Bowles, but I don't think he impressed me as much. So he's not in the hierarchy of what I'm looking at. I think that Boyles, you say he was bulkier. I don't know. I'm going to have to go revisit these guys when we get closer. We'll go through them again. Tristan saying, apparently last night we had the most points scored by undrafted players in 75 years. Yeah, since 1951. And Karthika, it may be ever, guys, honestly. It's just that she doesn't have access to good stats before 1951. Also, at period of the NBA, being a historian of the NBA myself and understanding the different periods of the NBA, there was a lot of players that were kind of weird, transient kind of players that probably weren't drafted and they were just signed up. Like the NBA at a certain point was kind of like, we're out at the drugstore and there's a really tall guy in line. Hey, buddy, do you play the NBA or do you play basketball? No, I've never thought about it. Well, come talk to me. I'm Red Auerbach. I've coached the Celtics. Shit like that. They'd be finding people out on the street. So it wasn't always the draft where you get players in the early NBA. Sometimes it was just like you find them just like you're a talent scout. You find like a model for like modeling or something like that. Hey, you're really tall, man. Could you join our team? Remember the early games at Toronto Huskies in the Maple Leaf Gardens? They had ads like, if you're 6'9", you get into the game for free. Why did they have that? Because they wanted to find these people so they could put them in the game. So it's kind of hard to figure out who was undrafted and drafted in the early NBA. And that's probably why Karthika has the limit of 1951. But it could very well be that technically the Raptors scored the most points any team has scored for undrafted players in the history of the whole entire NBA last night. It's just that the stats are not able to be figured out from that time before because, like I said, there's a lot of different designations of where these players came into the NBA from. They could have been from the drugstore line. I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. Yeah. Let's see. Tristan saying, laugh out loud, Carlo. That's right. It's amazing, man. Let's see. Cut. Okay, there's my cut from Nako. Troy Henry's here. Good to see Rapid Freak Troy Henry back in the chat. It's been a while, my guy. You know, I'm going to give you a dunk for returning, man. It's always good to see an old name show back up in the chat and say hi to us. There's Troy right there. This will be your second dunk of the year. 6 points for Troy in 2025. He's saying our team is so talented. We only used one starter last night, and we still didn't use him much, and we still got the win. Yeah, Pirtle played hardly at all. Jamal Shed played hardly at all. We didn't play with a point guard. What more do we have to do, Philadelphia? You suck so bad. You're so dysfunctional. You're gonna get beat anyway. It's crazy. Most saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Raptor Free Crew strong forever. Just helping Lex limit the comments. And I'm here, Lex. She is here. Okay. I'm glad you're here, Mo. We miss you when you're not in the stream. I really do appreciate you. Nako's saying, get your 2,000-ish calories, 150 grams of protein, and 30-ish of fiber in your day. There you go. Nako, I need a dietitian. Maybe I should be consulting you more on diet stuff. Now, from watching your eating habits when you used to come over to 3K and we do writing meetings, maybe I shouldn't listen to you. But this sounds like you know what you're talking about here, Nago the Nacho. You say, all right, 2,000-ish calories. All right, I'm going to try and figure this out and get this right. I need a dietitian. Nago the Nacho is my dietitian. That's right. Randolph's saying, Lex, the front office may not be interested in the top 5 players in this year's draft. They may have their eyes on 1 or 2 players lower down. I think this is true. I think this is very, very true. We've had a Harper on this team. His name was Ron Harper Jr. Maybe we don't want a Dylan Harper. Maybe we've already had an Ace Bailey in Toronto, and he played for the Maple Leafs. That's true. They brought this up the other day somewhere that Ace Bailey is actually a hockey player that played for the Maple Leafs in the early Maple Leaf history. So we already have Ace Bailey up here. And what about a Cooper Flag? Well, do we need wannabe G.I. Joe named players on our team? No, we don't necessarily need them for the price of a first-round pick and the first pick of the draft. No, that's a high, steep pay increase for that pick. And in some ways, that's what I'm saying, Raptors fans. You don't want number 1 pick because you have to pay through the nose to the number 1 pick. And, well, paying a 7th, 8th, or 9th pick is much more economically feasible for our salary cap next year. So, yeah, this is this part of it, you know, is like Mike has said, he confirmed it. Logical Raptors Fanatics said, if we get the first pick, say bye-bye to Chris Boucher and a lot of other bit players that might be able to be on our team because the salary cap got ate up and it's going to be totally different. So he could actually hurt us getting Cooper Flag in some ways, just so y'all know. Isaac's got us on blast. I love to see it. Monique and I and the 30th anniversary logo in the chat. I'm going to still get these icons and things switched out and changed around. And Fiercey, I will train you on this still. I'm so bad at doing this. I've been so lazy, but I'm going to figure this out. Yeah, I'm going to get this figured out. Troy's saying, if the Raptors made it to the play-in, I'll definitely come to Toronto for a game. There you go. There you go, Troy Henry. Yeah, come for a game anyway. Just come for fun. I mean, Cass went to the game on Monday, and they had a blast. And all intents and purposes, coming in the game, you would have thought it was a waste of a game going to because Washington Wizards against the Raptors in the second game of 2 in a row. But it was a fantastic game to go to, full of dunks and A.J. Lawson's career night. So, yeah, the games, even if it's in this weird part of the season where it seems like people are just trying to tank, they're still entertaining and fun to go to, especially because it's 30th anniversary. You'll get the City Edition court sometimes, the old retro jerseys, and old alumni coming by and saying hi, too. So, yeah, all right, let me see. What else do I have to do on the chat real quick? I got to do the classic card, so let's do that right now. All right, let's see. I want to get another kind of okay, yeah, we'll do this one. This one's a little easier. All right, here we go. This is an easy classic card. I'm going to start from far away and bring it up close. Full name answer, please. Full name answer. Here we go. Can you see him from there already? Can you tell who that is? Whoever's going to write in the name first will get it. It's the eye test. The classic card eye test, because the card's easy. It's more recent, so it's not a very hard one. I think you can tell who that is from there. I don't know if I should go any closer. You can probably tell who that is. Y'all, there's no shine on there. There's no reflection, right? You can see it. There you go. Slug Deezy's on it. I knew Slug Deezy probably get it. You're right behind him, Isaac. Too bad. It is Chris Middleton. Poor guy. This is him on Milwaukee. Of course, he's been sent to Washington. He never deserved that. I feel so bad, man. This man won a championship for the Bucks. He won in-season tournament this year too. He got that cup at the in-season tournament, and then they turned around and traded him to Washington. That's so mean. Why would you do this to this guy? I can understand shipping Marcus Smart to the Wizards and putting him through that, but not Chris Middleton. That's so mean to him. Why would you do that to him, Bucks? It's so mean. All right, Slug Deezy, you're going to get 50 points because that's an easy one. That's a too easy. That guy's an all-star and he's a current player. Too easy, so it's going to be only 50. Sorry. But yeah, you're doing good. In some ways, Slug Deezy, you've been moving up the ranks on the classic card very, very quickly, and you're getting up into the top 5. So just so you know. And yeah, I'll post the standings so you guys can keep track. Reggie is killing it. Smooth Brown Man's probably going to be the Raptors Freak trivia champion this year because he's got double most everybody else at this point because of classic cards. So Reggie, you can get your name on that title this year. That's right. Troy Henry saying one of my homies was there Monday all the way from Dryden. Cool, man. Well, it was a good game to go to. And you may, like I said, in some ways, optically going into that game, you would be like, well, this is going to be weird game. But you got Scotty playing in the game, getting dunks. Jamal Shed got a dunk in that game. That's a fantastic game to go to. Fantastic game to go to. The one on Monday night. You can ask Kaz. Yeah. Let's see. Paul B saying, someone delete my comment. Lex, I'm currently exporting season 11 of Kensington Variety VIP Club. See, Paul's helping me convert the files so that we can put them on YouTube forever from Instagram. So he's going in and getting the files from Instagram, extracting them so that they can be converted into a file so that I can post them on YouTube. And I appreciate Paul for doing this work. He's been helping me for a couple years with this. So I don't know, Paul, if you write certain keywords in, they will not post. So if you write a certain word, like there's some words I banned from this channel. If you used any of those words, that was probably why your comment was deleted. But there's none of the moderators are deleting comments or anything like that. There's nothing like that going on. That's not what it is. It's if you write certain words, yeah, political ones especially, you will get that comment deleted. All right, let's do the team stats real quick on the way out. The Raptors shot better than the Sixers, 44% to 43%. They got 4 more shots on goal. We made 16 threes to their 7 threes and shot 40%. The three-pointers were actually really good from the Raptors last night. I give a lot of credit to A.J. Lawson and Jared Rhoden and even Orlando Robinson for being very steady with their three-point shots last night. That's another thing that's been really great about these guys is they've been very good for three. And that's been an Achilles heel for our team this year at times. So AJ Lawson and Jared Rhoden, if they're around next year, they could really help us with three-point shooting next year if they're going to be around. It's 14 of 18 from the free throw line, 78%. That's not bad. They got more free throws than us. We out-rebounded them by almost 20, 59 to 40 with 17 offensive rebounds. The offensive rebound king has continued. Darko's got them on the boards, and I love it. I love seeing them crash the boards. 33 assists for the Raptors. And you look at the talent we had out there, we still managed to hit Darko's parameters with a 33 assist game between those undrafted guys out there. Fantastic. 22 turnovers were a huge problem, though. The Sixers only had 9. And, well, young team, they're going to have a lot of turnovers, but still managed to beat their butt by 13 by the end of the game. They did beat us in points in the paint, and they beat us in fast break points because of those turnovers. So, yeah, the largest lead the Raptors had was 22, and that's fantastic. That's fantastic. My five stars of the game for the game last night were Jared Rhoden, Orlando Robinson, A.J. Lawson, Colin Castleton, and Garrett Temple. And as I said, if we'd won the game against Washington on Saturday, we'd be a perfect 6-0 in the month of March right now. We would be perfect. Let's see. The ESPN has a mock draft out this morning with us at 7th now with our new position after we dropped the 7th position. And they've got us mock drafting Common Malak, which I do not mind at all. That's what I like. Here we go. We'll go to Raptors Reddit real quick. Let's see what the people of Raptors Reddit are saying. They're saying, "Who even needs a lottery pick when you have 6 undrafted demons?" I like what you're saying here, Raptors Reddit. You guys have been on point for the most part in certain ways. I like that. Let's just say, here's another guy saying, "Reminder for hardcore tank commanders: even if we have the worst record in the NBA, the odds of getting the #1 pick are 14%." So it's like, seriously, it's not really that much of a slide in some ways. He's got all the odds out. So we're in 7th right now. We have a 7.5% pick. So it's half of what having the first. Like, so we still have a 7.5% chance of getting the first pick from where we are currently right now. Now that dropped 2 percentage points from being 5th. It's 9.8 in 5th. It's 7.5 here. But like I said, do we really want the first pick? The first pick might be a disaster, guys. Like I said, they fined the Jazz $100,000 for sitting Lauri Markkanen too much. They broke the rule of benching all-stars, the Jazz. So they're going to be playing Markkanen on Friday, I'll bet. So we might have to play against Lauri this time on the Friday we play Jazz in their arena this week. We played them last Friday, and they did not play him last week. Yeah, there's a rest in peace for Oliver Miller on Raptors Reddit also. So there you go. There you go. This is interesting. All right, there's Raptors Reddit. We're done with that. Let's see if Blue Skies has any updates on there about anything from anybody. Let's see if anybody's talking about it. The Raptors. No, doesn't look like there's oh wait, there's Blake Murphy. What did he say an hour ago? He's saying that okay, this is weird. I think that Blake's talking about like the benchings and stuff like that. Um he's saying that he's talking about how Darko answers the tank question and how he's like you know, okay, he's just talking to fans about how they talk to him. Blake, it's nothing that important. All right, we have a birthday. It's for a Raptor Freak. Happy birthday to West Coast Raptor Freak Shane Waters. It is Shane's birthday today, guys. So happy birthday to Shane. Y'all check out your fantasy teams. Fiercey, you're coming back a bit. It's 4-3 right now. I'm still leading by 1, but it's good to see you getting some of those categories on your side right now. So good stuff there. Yeah, let's see. Paul saying, "Oh, I said F the Prez is in a matter of words, and we have two great two ways. Something we wish for years about. Might as well play Ingram, make the play in, and win the damn title." I like what you're saying, Paul B, but I don't know if that's possible. We're gonna if we get through the play in, we'll have to play the Cavs in the first round, and that'll be a very, very difficult series to win, considering we have not ramped up into the season with all of our players the right way into the off season. Yeah, if you said anything about the president of the United States, that's why your comment got deleted. Most saying, why Josh put at stake like that? What? No Cooper. Oh, I mean, I don't know. Josh Lundberg's got his own idea about what the Raptors should do. I will say that Josh had a good response to the game last night because he said, well, basically, like I said, he said the players are young, that you can't fault them for wanting to try and play hard because they want their NBA careers. So the Raptors winning, I mean, they won because the players wanted to. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we did everything with limiting minutes for Jakob and Jamal to try and manipulate the game, but the Sixers are really bad. They don't have good chemistry. And in some ways, a team that's playing right with a team system, even if the players aren't as talented, will beat a team that's more talented, that's disorganized and not playing correctly. And that's the lesson from last night, honestly. The Raptors have a culture and a system that's working really well, and we can have the bottom of our bench out there, and we'll beat a better talented team from the Sixers because they're disorganized and not playing together. That's just basketball right there. That's it. Chriscom's saying, yo, Chriscom's here. Good call on AJ Lawson being a good three-point shooter. Not sure if you remember, but when we first signed him, I didn't know he was like that, but you defended him being a three-point threat. We could get the 7th seed and face the Celtics. So you think we could actually get up that high in the play-in? I don't think so. That'd be tough, man. We'd have to really win out for that. I think if we get the play-in, we're doomed to play the Cavaliers in the first round if we get through the play-in. That's just because we're going to be in the 9th or the 10th spot, and if you're from that spot, yeah. If we get all the way to 7th, I'd be shocked, man. That would be crazy. Isaac saying, W. Paul B. I finished every sentence with F the Prez. That's why I appear to be missing these days. Nah, I've been busy. Much love, fam. Isaac's funny. Yeah, if you wrote the name of the president in there, that's why your comment got deleted. Because I'm not having that in here. In some ways, I don't want to do politics on this channel anymore, guys. I'll do updates as necessary for safety. How about that? But in some ways, it just bums the hell out of me. And I really don't want to talk about it because it's like it's scary. And it's also really fucking ridiculous, honestly. 12 dunks for 12 points for Isaac, his 4th dunk of the year, for coming in and being funny right at the end. Paul B saying, well played, laugh out loud. I had a hype comment and concluded with that sentiment. Yeah, just for future reference, proper names of certain political people right now are not allowed in here. And they include the Canadian politicians and the American politicians in some ways. I was so disheartened to see so many attack ads on Canadian TV last night. How much money is being wasted on political attack ads around the world right now instead of going to healthcare and education? It's so messed up. We have our priorities all messed up. It's all about power, greed, and keeping control more than actual help and humanity. And that's messed up to me. I hate that. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's not even do this, man. Paul, yeah, I don't even want to do this, man. Seriously. I'm trying to get out of here. I don't want any more comments. Monique gave me a cutoff like 15 minutes ago where nobody's supposed to comment anymore. You guys got to respect Monique, even if you guys come in here late. Chriscom didn't see it, but Monique has got that cutoff up there, guys, and you guys are still writing in comments. I want to leave. I don't leave. I love Bernie, and I don't even want to talk about this. You get me on a 10-minute tirade about Bernie Sanders right now in a positive way. And I don't want to do this right now. I really don't want to talk politics anymore, guys. Seriously. So please don't bring it in here unless it's absolutely necessary because things are really crazy or it's absolutely pertinent. I have so many different things I could talk about right now with what's happening in the United States, but it's a waste of time for me to do it right now. Unless you guys really want something specific about a very specific thing, I'll talk about it. But otherwise, I really don't want to talk about politics as much as possible. Yeah. Chris can say, yeah, I didn't see the cutoff. Just wanted to give you props for your AJ call. It's all no good. You just showed up, Chriscom, right at the end, and it's all good. It's all good. The cutoff is loose. It's loose. It's not exactly definitive. All right, let me finish up. Chriscom, thank you for giving me props on the AJ thing. Yeah, and he's done fantastic coming up. It's true. There were a couple months ago where I was saying AJ Lawson and Jared Roden need to come up to the main squad and do their thing. And well, it's happened now. So, I mean, I do have a track record of being right. And unfortunately, I track record on being right on politics too. And I don't want to be right about some of the things I see coming up. I really, really don't. So I don't even want to talk about them. So, all right. I love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow for a preview for the Utah Jazz game, the first game of our road trip going out west, the last big road trip for the Raptors. So get ready to stay up because we're going to have 10 o'clock games coming up very soon with Portland and Golden State and Phoenix and all that fun stuff. But Utah first. And Lauri Markkanen is going to have to play because the NBA fined the Jazz. So we should be seeing Markkanen against us on Friday night. All right, let's go Raptors. You beat the Sixers and Nick Nurse and Kyle Lowry once again. And one more to go to sweep the season series against them by the end of this month. All right, guys, be proud, you Raptors fans. We're going to be good no matter what. We got Brandon Ingram. And wherever we end up in the top 10 in the lottery, we're going to make a very good draft pick. And we're going to be fantastic. Thank you, Isaac, for putting me on blast. I appreciate everybody. Y'all have a great day. Peace out, Neil. Always good to see everybody in the chat. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow on Friday morning. Let's go, Raptors. And there's the end of the chat. And there's the end of the poll. And good job, guys. We got 68% say SGA is the greatest Canadian basketball player in the NBA ever. All right, let's go, Raptors. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Woo!